Could be some new news because I haven't looked at it in about 2 weeks.
Okay, so I've put mine on now. We are live. I just need to set the video up, guys.
I haven't even started any of mine, so I haven't got tags copied on nothing.
I've got to set it up anyway, so I'll wait for you to go live.
Cool. New news because I haven't looked.
Gotta do my tags, gotta do my thumbnail, etc.
We're on episode 5. Incredible. Detainment, sure. I've got no idea what my tags are. I don't even know if I did any.
You know the word favourite, it's got a U in it, hasn't it? Because it keeps... No, because it keeps, like, Americanising it, the spelling. But I'm sure the...
I've got no idea, dude.
I hate when it does that. I'll just Google that really quick. I swear, I can't spell these days. Yeah, it does. See, I spelled it right.
I don't know if I added any tags, last time.
Because you don't know what you're doing, George. Yeah.
No, I didn't add any tags. You got any tags? Send me some tags.
I've not ripped mine in yet.
Well, once you've done yours.
Well, I'm only going to put like a basic, like 4 or 5 tags in. I'm not going to put many tags. George, you didn't even crop the sides of the thumbnail, man. I got this black border on the edge.
No, the black border's there. I put that in specifically because without it, it would have stretched and it would have looked weird as heck.
Let's have a look, see if we got any comments, George, whilst I set up. Okay, so entertainment, yes. Tags, the Karate Kid, the Karate Kid review, podcast, movie, podcast, Shedcast, Shedwords, movie talk, just tags like that.
Will you send me them through Discord while I quickly try and not explode my... you've got people chatting in your chat, Ethan and Thomas.
Let me see if I can copy him. Guys, we won't be answering many comments as usual on the Shedcast because it goes up as a normal video, but we can answer a couple right now whilst we set up.
Hey Jonathan, how you doing, man? I don't know
hey
if
everyone,
you can hear
hey
me
Ethan, hey Jonathan, hey everyone. Yeah, can you hear George? Is a good question. I feel like we should be more prepared. We should start the video with everything done, but you know what I mean, George. Okay, so have you been grey this entire time? Where have you gone?
End up going...
What?
Oh, that was you. You did that, not me.
Did I?
Yeah.
Oh, now it's gone to your loading screen. Hey Ethan. Hey Thomas. Hey Fritz. Hey everyone. Don't forget to like the stream, guys. Another Shedcast. If you've not watched these before, then we basically just talk about movies, or it depends what the theme of the podcast is. Today we're looking at the Karate Kid, one of my favourite movie franchises of all time. Hey Harlow. I hope you enjoy it. If you've not watched the others, go back and watch them. Yeah, I have, but you're on your background thing. So
yeah, I know. I've done it on purpose.
I'm
doing good, Jonathan. I'm doing good.
I've got a lot of notes today, so I'll be reading from these to look a bit more professional.
See, what you've done is you've now messed with your
looks fine
video.
The only problem is this bit. Was that like that before? I'm gonna stretch your face again, George.
Oh, please don't.
So professional. So I've got the synopsis wrote down, like the plot, which we can start with.
Oh my god, my computer cannot handle this.
Have you got each scene written down?
Kinda, yeah. Yeah.
You ready?
I don't have any tags, but sure. I can do that.
I might read this. You don't have any tags, but you're ready.
Yeah, I'm already live. Got no tags.
Okay, guys. So if you
Hey,
look like a little bit like Elon Musk, everyone tells me this all the time. But you know, he's the richest man in the world, so I'll take that as a compliment. Who does George look like? Like, what's his name?
I don't know. I look like some sort of demon on yours. What have you done with my video,
What's
man?
that guy's now?
You've done something to it, and now I look weird as. I'm doing good, Jonathan.
It's Russell something. Who's that guy's name? He plays Arthur. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Russell, yeah, Russell Kane.
It's not Russell Kane, George. I mean the second one. Like the newer version.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I can't remember his name either. Russell something.
Russell Brand. That's what you look like.
Russell Brand.
I see you got the bandana on, George. I was supposed to get a Karate Kid bandana with a DVD I bought and I didn't get one. I was so annoyed about that. Okay, guys, so this is one of my favourite movie franchises of all time, so I'm very excited about this one today, as George was last week about Indiana Jones, because that was kind of like George's favourite film in a way. And all he banged on about is the brilliant special effects for about 4 hours. Have you done any research on special effects?
Before we go on to the special effects, there are no special effects in this film. I looked, there were none.
Yeah, but in this
there
kind
was
of
a special
movie,
effects guy.
in this kind of movie, it makes sense because it makes it more
Well, I
real
was expecting
and
it to
authentic.
maybe be wire work or something, and if there's wire work, you need to.
No, they
edit
just
out
had
the
a
wires,
stunt
but
double
I couldn't.
for Miyagi, and then all the other
Couldn't-
actors were trained in karate, so it makes sense. You know, I wouldn't want there to be massive special effects in this film.
No, but what I was looking at, maybe they did wire work because there's the crane move it near the end, right? And I figured maybe they held that for longer than they could to get the footage of it, but it looks like they just slowed the footage down instead. There's no special effects, and if there is, it's mainly for like painting people out of scenes, maybe, and that's it.
It's not that kind of movie, though, is it? So, The Karate Kid is about a kid named Daniel who moves city with his mother,
Daniel-san?
and Daniel-san, and he's being beat up by bullies.
Daniel-san.
So he learns karate, and then he finds out that there's an Okinawan karate master living next door who teaches him karate. You know. And then he wins the tournament and beats the bullies, basically. It's a feel-good film. But a lot of people have touched upon this, haven't they? And it spawned the Cobra Kai. Because a lot of people were saying over on YouTube, he made some viral videos about saying that Daniel was actually the bully because he stole Johnny Lawrence's girlfriend, which is quite interesting.
But he didn't. He didn't. Because specifically mentioned that they had been broken up for a couple of weeks before he even rocks up. And right at the start of the film, they specifically mention, like, didn't they break up? She did, but he didn't. So he's...
to be honest, it's hard to see Daniel as the bad guy.
Blondie's hanging on to Ali.
Yeah, it's hard to see Daniel as the bad guy because this movie is made to make him look like the good guy, and they twist it. But if you watch Cobra Kai, you do tend to see both sides of the story.
That's the problem with...
Which I'm a massive fan
It's a
of.
problem with... Yeah, it's a directional insight, right? So you can... As a director, you can be like, oh, we're going to portray the bad guy as the good guy. Like, that is an easy thing to do as a director, which is great. And I suppose it depends on... Like, everyone's got their own view on life. So it kind of mimics life in the fact that you're the... Everybody else has their own view on what's happening in real life. And
there's two sides to the story, and in the latest Cobra Kai as well,
yeah, exactly.
they discuss Ali's side of the story, which is interesting. But we won't get on to Cobra Kai because we're talking about Karate Kid specifically. But let's start by talking about the plot then, George. So what happens? Like, let's go scene to scene. So first,
scene by scene.
Daniel.
It's not exactly scene by scene, but it is like.
It starts
chapters.
off where you see the
New
car.
Jersey.
Yeah, you see the car, and he's pushing it because he's got this tapped out car. You know, it doesn't even barely work. And they're moving to
they're sold this promise of New York. I put down as New York. I can't remember if that's where it actually is. I don't know where they
Newark,
actually moved
New
to,
Jersey, Los Angeles.
No, New Jersey's where they left.
Right, yeah, they moved from there to Los Angeles in
They
Reseda.
moved from Newark to LA.
Reseda, yeah.
Is it LA? I put New York, but I don't know.
And as they're moving
But
into
they're
the place,
promised
George, you know that old woman sitting in the chair who says hello to? She actually plays Happy Gilmore's grandmother. Did you know that? Interesting fact there.
I didn't know that. I mean, I like that they portray it. They're like giving this look of, oh, it's gonna be better. We're moving on from here to a better place, and it's just an absolute garbage place to live.
Yeah, well,
Like,
where they move is not
the
a
car
very
breaks down
like,
on the way.
it's not a very nice accommodation, is it? You know, it's very it's quite poor.
No. Nothing works. It looks like it's falling apart.
The funny
Like,
thing is
the pool
that
they're promised is
place
green
where
and
they
empty.
live, many of the locations in this film haven't changed. So in the new series of Cobra Kai, they use the same building, but this time Johnny's living there, and all the buildings look the same, which is really weird, because you think Los Angeles is a developing city and they would change the buildings and like obviously remodel stuff, but they've left that building exactly the same.
Well, not even that. It's not that they've left it the same. I think whether they've done set design to it, but I'm assuming like they've made it look worse than it actually is in real life. You know, which is set design, which is what our friends did. Some of our friends went on to do. I know the Jester set design, doesn't she?
Does she?
She wanted to. I don't know if she ever actually got into it.
No, I think they used in as part of like, what do you call it now? Like film tours, because people go and revisit that location because it's a famous spot. So I think that's why they kept it as it is. But yeah, as you say, like
It makes sense. It is like a famous point.
yeah. So Daniel moves to Reseda, and he's obviously having troubles. So it's not that good for him because he's lost all his friends. He's living in a crappy apartment. You know, he's trying to make friends, and then he gets into an argument on the beach, doesn't he, with Johnny, and starts chatting to Ali Mills. You know, they're playing football, they're having a kickabout.
You've missed the entire point where he kicks the door into the poor guy's face. Like, he's not there when, like, so the one that I saw, like, you can see him walk
Kicks
past
the
the
door
gate
into the guy's face.
in
What?
the did you not notice? So as he's pushing the bike in, he kicks the door. It smacks.
Oh, it hits the guy in the
his name
face,
is
yeah.
Freddie because I think.
I love how this is the
That
this is
is
probably
the
the
first
main.
thing,
This
yeah.
is probably the only
Sorry.
thing you wrote there. Yeah, so he actually.
Oh, and then it goes on to like, oh, the house is falling apart.
Yeah, we haven't really discussed Mr. Miyagi. Have we? Like, he meets Mr. Miyagi.
We
He's the
haven't met
electric
him yet.
guy. He's the maintenance
We
guy.
only meet him after like the tap like explodes.
Yeah,
So
the
you
tap
don't like.
explodes. He's practicing karate on the TV, you know. And then he starts to get bullied, doesn't he? On the beach.
Yes.
But the thing is, he sticks up for Ali, thinking he's like got all these karate skills because he's been learning karate some other place, and then he realizes that
From a book.
And then he realizes that like the person's girlfriend that he's chatting to, you know, he throws his radio. Someone runs over the radio, so he's like, "Oh, I'll stick up for her." And the person he ends up like encountering, Johnny, turns out to be like a karate freaking master, like a black belt who's won like 10 tournaments or something. And then he realizes.
Before we get into like the rest of this, I just want to ask you, why do you like this film so much?
I think it's because it's a feel-good film. You know, it's about beating the bullies and perseverance and stuff. Because he starts out and he can't fight and stuff, and even in the end of the film, like when he almost breaks his arm or damages his it's his leg, isn't it?
Leg.
He damages his leg.
It's his
and
leg and it's
he
his
can barely
ribs, yeah.
fight. Like he still goes on, finishes the fight, and it's not about winning. You know, it's just about proving it to himself. And like Mr. Miyagi says, he's like.
Yeah.
Is like, you know, do it for yourself. Don't do it to win. Because if you back down from this, you're never going to accomplish anything. And I also like the fact that like Mr. Miyagi is like, he's like the perfect hero in a sense, isn't he? Like, he's like the perfect trainer, and then Daniel's like the apprentice. You know, I like that. I like how you see the characters develop throughout the film. And it's a cult classic. Like I've watched that 100 times, and it doesn't get old for me. And like, it builds towards the end, you know, the music and stuff. Like that ending is just like, you will sit there and watch the whole film just for that cool ass ending, man. When the music comes on, it just syncs so well. Like, you know that score, that music was actually wrote for a different film, and it ended up in this one.
Yeah, I saw that as well.
And it's basically immortalised in this film.
Yeah, it fits it perfectly as
You're
well.
the best around. It's such a good song.
Yeah, it's a great song as well.
Did we also mention that this film was made by the same people who made Rocky, the same director, and Rocky is also another one of my favourite franchises, and it has a lot of parallels with Rocky.
That's probably why.
Sylvester Stallone is actually like
so much because
he's mocked this film a lot, saying that they're basically ripped off Rocky, the Rocky story in a way.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it is. It's just a kids version, right? And before we talk about like the film in general,
I don't think it's a kids movie.
Mention the referees at the end. No, it's aimed at like young adults, right? So it's teenagers and stuff. The referees in this, the worst referees I've ever seen in.
You say that, George. That's funny you say that because that guy is an actual referee. Like I've got it in one of my facts. I think he's actually a real referee. Yeah. But that did give him a point for basically an illegal
referees, man. They dumbed it down so much for that.
They discussed that in the Cobra Kai series as well about that point. It's supposed to be a legal move, but it was actually I think just before that tournament or around that time, it was like established as a legal move, so you could actually do it. You know. Thanks, Fritz. Sorry, we're not reading the chat, guys. We just want this to be like a just me and George talking because we don't want to be saying, "Oh, hey, Optimal Ducky," and then someone's watching it back like, "What the frick is this guy talking about?" But what do you think of the film, George? Because I know this isn't like it's not your favourite of films, but you just gave it another watch. So what would you think about it now?
I still prefer the new one, and the only reason I prefer
what do you mean the new one, Cobra Kai?
It's Jackie Chan.
Oh, the Jackie Chan one. The thing is, I like that one too.
Yeah,
and that one's also like a good film for me. Like I will go and watch it because in 2010 when that released, or 2009, like that was my birthday, and that was the movie that I watched on my birthday.
Yeah, and
I was already a huge Karate Kid fan. And obviously, yeah, you got Jackie Chan, you got Jaden Smith, and it's a real shame they didn't make another one. Yeah,
still with Jaden Smith, him as an actor, that was like his first real acting job. Right?
Well, there was another one, wasn't there?
I've never seen anything.
Was it After Earth? But it was really poorly rated.
Oh yeah, that was awful. I
think Jaden Smith as an actor works better when he's acting on his own, not with in the shadow of his dad, because he's made a couple of Netflix series and a couple of other films, and they're really good. When he does stuff with his dad, it's like it doesn't work really. It should work, but it doesn't. He
outshines him, doesn't he? Because it is Will Smith. You cannot.
Yeah, you cannot tell Will Smith you know, Will Smith's one of them actors that when he's on screen, you just want to look at Will Smith. So having Jaden there, as you say,
he commands the face.
But I do like that too. But if you think about it, we wouldn't have this if we wouldn't have that new version if we didn't have this. And I'm kind of glad that they didn't make a second one.
I don't hate this film. I do enjoy this film, but I don't think I like it as much as you do.
Yeah, in a way, I'm kind of glad they didn't make a second one because then Cobra Kai wouldn't have happened, and that's number one in how many countries. It's such a good show, and the reason that works is because they're linking it to these films, and they're doing it for the fans, just like Star Wars Mandalorian has done with Luke, and they're bringing Luke back in a younger form. They're pleasing fans.
Before we do it, can we just have a quick side story on that? That is one of the worst bits of special effects I've ever seen.
I think that's good.
It
really looks like Luke Skywalker.
It does, but it's hampered by the fact that it's a TV show. If it wasn't a TV show, they could have spent so much time on that and made it look more like.
To me, George, I think that was really good special effects because.
Oh yeah, no, I know. And
the reason for that,
I'm so happy about it happening.
The reason for that is because it wasn't overdone. He only said a couple of lines. You know, in a lot of movies, they do CGI and they leave it for 20 minutes or whatever. That's not good.
Especially with the Carrie Smith thing, you could sort of tell that they weren't real because their lips don't quite move right. Like their top lip doesn't move, so it's like, "Hello there, I am Princess Leia." But so the way they do those, I'm taking it a little bit off script.
Yeah, we should probably move back on to George, because we're talking about everything else.
So they did a deep fake. They did a deep
No.
fake of Star Wars. That's all you have to know. It wasn't CG or anything. It was a deep fake. Okay, let's go.
So let's get back to the plot. So we're on the beach. So Daniel
We're on
gets
the beach.
he gets beat up, doesn't he? And he gets beat up a couple of times.
Yes.
He gets run off the road by Johnny.
Absolutely smashed.
They've really made Johnny look like a right dick in this film. Like he's basically an asshole.
Yeah, but it's never him. It's
Yeah,
never,
it's
never
being
Johnny
controlled by
until, like,
Kreese, isn't it, really?
yes.
Because when you go to the dojo and you see Kreese interacting with
Yeah.
these guys, like he's teaching them these methods of karate that shouldn't be taught to them.
They're
Like,
military
shouldn't be
based.
taught to
They're
kids.
military
Yeah, because he
based
was
karate.
actually in the military, wasn't he? And again, in the new series, Cobra Kai, you can see his military like flashbacks, and he was taught by
Yeah.
this guy to be the best of the best. And obviously, in the war context, it makes sense because he's saying like no pain, no fear. What does he say? No mercy. And he
No
also
mercy is like the tagline for that entire dojo.
yeah, and it's like
It doesn't work in like a competition based.
what else does he say? There's
purely
no weakness in this dojo or something. No mercy in this dojo.
no weakness, no mercy.
Hmm.
Which is fine in like a war context.
yeah,
but
and it's-
in a
It's very
like
brutal,
when you're
isn't it?
supposed
It's
to be
like
bringing
finish
kids up
him.
like that, yeah.
You know, it's like finish him. Like when they're already on the floor, it's like
Sweep
finish
the
him. It's
leg.
like, you know, punch him
Yeah.
in the face, finish him, end it, sweep the leg. You know, these very
No,
brutal
it's absolutely
tactics.
like that is like a martial arts for military use.
So
not
it's like a
for
lot of
civilian
films
use.
in the way that Kreese is the real bad guy, and you really hate Kreese, but you kind of also Johnny is like a bit of a dick in this film, but it's not his fault. It's more Kreese, and at the end of the film, you can see that because you know Johnny's like, oh, it's all your fault, and it's like you're a loser, and then he smashes his trophy. You know what I mean? And even when they're in the fight scenes later on, and like you say, he tells him to sweep the leg. You know, he wants him to break Daniel's leg. You know, it's very dirty, isn't it? It's a very
Yeah,
dirty
even
way to
though
fight.
he could absolutely win in a fair and square fight.
Yeah, so
Johnny could have easily
exactly.
beaten him.
So Johnny might have actually won. You know, if he didn't do that, but it wasn't actually Johnny who swept the leg. I think it was somebody else.
No, I've written it down. His name was Bobby Brown, I think. Some
He's got a nickname though, hasn't he? They all have nicknames.
I
can't
only
remember
heard
what
them
they
say
are.
Bobby. That's it.
But yeah, he's teaching him these very brutal techniques. And obviously Daniel's going home bruised and stuff. And then he says to his mum, like, oh, I need to learn how to fight. And he goes to the dojo and he sees what they're doing. And then he obviously walks out because
Yeah,
he
it's
realizes
not.
Kreese's
It's,
dojo.
yeah, he sees it to them.
And then Johnny's
Like
like,
that is where he's been.
I think Johnny tells Kreese that,
Mhm.
you know, he did something to him. I think Johnny makes out that Daniel smashed his radio. No, not smashed his radio. Daniel started a fight with him and stole his girlfriend. I think that's what he makes out to Kreese. And then obviously,
Which, if like from then, like if that's the angle they're going for, that makes sense that he would then step in to help him. But you know, it's a really weird situation where he's like trying to pull him into fight.
and then obviously,
Weird.
I think at that point we find Mr. Miyagi. It's after Daniel gets chased, doesn't he? Thrown off his bike, I think.
Yeah, so what happens is he fixes his bike. He gets kicked off his bike by the
And Mr. Miyagi fixes it.
motorbikers.
And he goes, "Oh, I walked into a door."
Mm-hmm.
Is that when he says, "I walked into a
Yeah.
door," and he's like, "Strong door."
Fell off my bike. Walked into a door.
Yeah, and then
Lucky you didn't hurt your hand.
yeah, and then he goes to the disco, I think, after. But he's talking to Miyagi beforehand, and he's
disco,
like,
yeah.
"Oh, I really want to go to the disco, but I don't know what to go as." And Miyagi, he gets the shower curtains out. You know, they're cutting bonsai trees. You know, he starts to make friends with him. He makes him a Halloween costume. They go to the disco, and then he uses the water pipe and drowns Johnny, doesn't he?
Yeah, like I didn't drown him. He just like sprays him, but like that was all just to get in Ali's good books, really. Like because she said she wanted to get back at him. This entire film is pushed by the premise of him doing these things at the start for Ali. It's never for Danny.
Yeah, but you
himself.
can
It's
kind of
always
understand it though,
for
because
Ali.
if you're like a young kid, you know, you do stuff for the girl, wouldn't you?
Oh yeah, absolutely. But like that's such a Hollywood trope that it is. the plot is being pushed by the defenseless female in this case. Like, not in this case, because she absolutely clocks him at the thing, but
yeah, like she can stick up for herself.
A divisive use.
You know,
it's a divisive thing that Hollywood does. Like, they'll always use the woman as like the.
Someone says they love Johnny in Cobra Kai.
Interest.
Yeah, Johnny's really good in Cobra Kai. Like, you actually get to know his character more, and you start to realise there's two sides of the coin. Yeah, I like his character in that. And the ending for season 3 is amazing. But we're not going to get onto that because sticking to Karate Kid. So after that,
because I've not seen it.
Obviously, Johnny chases Daniel. He's got the shower curtain on. You know, the shower curtain was actually foreseen when he's in Mr. Miyagi's workshop and they're cutting the bonsai trees. He's talking to Miyagi. There's a shower curtain in the background hanging up. Just a little fact for you. A little Easter egg. So he runs off, and then he obviously gets chased by Johnny, as we said. And he runs to this.
Run back to his house. He runs all the way home.
Well, he actually runs outside where Mr. Miyagi's workshop is, and jumps over the fence. Or tries to jump over the fence, but they obviously beat him up again. And then Mr. Miyagi just jumps in and just starts like beating the crap out of him, which wouldn't be acceptable today. Like, really, he should have been arrested for
this
that.
Is when you learn that he is a karate master, right? That is like the moment you're like, oh yeah, this guy can fight.
Yeah, he's like, what, 70-year-old guy or something? Well, probably like 50 in this film, 60 he's portrayed as. And he just beats the crap out of like 5-6 karate students all at once. Like, you're like, oh my God.
Skeleton dressed karate.
Yeah, you're like, this guy's a badass. But again, then reflect on this in the new series, because Johnny does the same thing to some like kids who are picking on somebody else, and he gets like arrested for it and has to go to court about it, which is what should have happened really, because obviously you can't just go beating up kids, but you know, so that's interesting. But then, you know, he heals Daniel up, doesn't he, with this concoction that looks absolutely disgusting. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, I know,
it's such a good scene. And then he heals up in like, what is it, like, looks like a couple of hours.
Yeah, I know. They really, like, the time scale in this film is really weird.
And then,
like, there's no set time scale. There's no like, it sort of just like skips from one point to another. I mean, it makes sense that it is like when you're doing the same thing day in day out, it will time does sort of fade together, right? That is a realistic thing. Especially like when he starts doing the training, like there's no time scale for any of that.
Yeah, so when he's being fixed up by Mr. Miyagi in his workshop or his house, whatever, and then he wakes up and then he's like, you know, what happened? Did I see you beat up all those guys? And he's like, where'd you learn that? And then he's like, can you teach me? And I think he asks him the reasoning, doesn't he? You know, he's like, why do you want to learn first? And then before teaching him,
because if he just wants to do stuff like Cobra Kai, then
there's
what's the point in teaching him?
And that's the whole, you know, that's Miyagi's whole like thing, isn't it? Like, only fight in self-defense. You know, you don't fight to hurt or wound someone unless they attack first. You know.
Yeah.
Whereas Creases is completely different.
Makes sense.
Creases is just like,
Creases kill.
Yeah, kill anyone you see. Like, if they just for nothing really. Creases, I feel, half the time.
Yeah.
But what I love about this film as well is like their you can see like their bond and the way they gel together on the screen, like Daniel and Miyagi, like the two actors, is just really, really good. It's like almost like father and son, isn't it? Like the way they are together, they just work so well together.
Which is shown a lot more later on in the film.
Yeah, because like Daniel doesn't have that father influence, does he? You know, I can't remember what happened to his dad. I think his dad left or died or something. You know.
Yeah, so later on in the film, like Miyagi does like
he lost his kids in there.
Talk about his experiences. Yeah.
So they both like needed each other at the right time, and they both found each other, and that's another reason why this movie works so well, because you know it's very heartwarming the way that they are with each other. Yeah. So Miyagi goes to the dojo with Daniel, and he tries to sort the dispute out, doesn't he?
Yeah, but he can immediately tell that it's not going to go the way he wants it to go when they start to like, when Kreese gets involved and it's like, oh, you don't like those odds, blah 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 blah. You know,
and he sees the
like
poster on the wall, and then he's like, tournament. We shall fight at the tournament. Whoever wins. If we win, you leave us alone. But then he's like, he puts in this clause. He's like, oh, you're not touching Daniel until the tournament, so that stops him from being beat up as well. You know?
Yeah,
and he knows that if Daniel
really
fights in that,
he starts to get. I mean, Danny he gets cocky after that.
Yeah, he starts like tripping up at football and stuff, and then he really starts like, tormenting Johnny even more, doesn't he? So, which isn't good, but he knows he can do it. Like, he knows he can get away with it.
Yeah, even if it's only for like this next week or however long, because there's no time scale between the tournament and the time, so it doesn't. Like, you don't know how long he's been like living with them.
I think it was a couple of months. I think it was like a month or... I reckon it was about a few months. I can't quite remember, but around that time. And he starts to get closer to Ali as well, doesn't he?
Yeah.
In those periods. I think there's some scenes that are missing from the school canteen where I think Johnny continues to torment Daniel. And Daniel says like, "Oh, you can knock me out 7 Sundays, so why'd you keep doing it?" And they cut them out of the film, which are not needed anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, the film just works so well with all the scenes, but I just thought I'd mention that. So yeah, he starts tormenting Johnny, and he knows he can get away with it. And then the other members of Cobra Kai
and then he starts the training montage, you know.
They're like, "You heard Sensei Kreese, don't touch him till the tournament." Yeah, and then we start to begin the training, which another thing I love is like Miyagi gets him doing all these stupid tasks like washing cars, and everyone knows this: wax on, wax off. And he's like,
well, yeah, it's supposed to like build muscle memory, right? And it's supposed to be like this thing, but Miyagi doesn't explain it. Like, he just says, "Do this, do this, do this. Don't ask questions. Do this."
And like when we learn things, we're supposed to know why we're learning things. So like, he has faith that Miyagi can fight, but he doesn't know why. He just thinks he's using him to get all his housework done. Painting fences for days and days on end.
Which is like bad teaching practice. That's bad teaching practice.
And then obviously he just gets sick of it, doesn't he? And he's like, "I'm not doing this anymore, man. And then you're a fraud. You just want me to tidy up your garden and do all your tasks."
Yeah, exactly.
And then and
that's like when you first see Miyagi go like a little bit mad. He's like, angry face.
And
like,
then he,
God damn,
he puts his arm out, and then he's like, "Do some fence, do wax on, wax off," and he starts all these karate moves, and then Daniel's like, "Hang on, we're on to something here. Like, this is working."
Well, I mean, I'm gonna bring this back to the newer Karate Kid. I feel like
that scene is a really good scene.
That explains the training more, right? Like, where he's like, "Oh yeah, put the coat on the thing, take the coat off the thing." Like, that is.
Yeah, and when he says everything we do is karate, I think he says that in this one as well. Actually, I think he does say, "Daniel-san, everything we do is karate," and he says, and he's like, he points to the heart. I think it says karate is in here. Or did I just imagine that? Or was that in the new one? That might be in the new film.
I think you just imagine.
But he says like karate is in everything.
Flashback.
Yeah. And that is like, it's a really good way of teaching, but you don't expect it. And like, if you was doing that training, you would totally like feel where Daniel's come from. You'd be like, "Why am I doing all this crap?"
Yeah, I mean, in the new one, they do mention that it is like, I understand that this is to train muscle memory, but like, it without being told about it, it's. You can imagine how he feels. Like, you've got to imagine, like, you're there doing this all day, and then this all day,
and obviously he's worried because he's got a tournament, and he's like,
daily.
He's saying to Miyagi, he's like, "I'm gonna get killed. I'm gonna get killed out there because you're not training me anything. I'm just doing all these tasks.
I'm just waxing."
But then obviously it flips, and when that happens, like, the audience just get a massive kick about that, because then the music comes on as well, like the drums in the background, like. I don't know where the drums go. That's a completely bad impression, but you get the drums in the background noise. You can tell we prepared a lot for this podcast. The background music is really good, and I'm not doing it any justice because I'm trash at on Rocky's TV.
Yeah, that's really important to a film. Is the background music. it really ties the film together when you've got drums as stuff happening and like it makes you feel inside like your
But
heart
there's a lot of
beat
moments in these
matches
films,
to
like as soon
the
as you get
drums.
to that point where it switches from wax on, wax off, and he's cleaning the cars and stuff, like from that point on, like you're just already hooked to the film, and then you get all these amazing scenes, like he's on the beach doing the crane kick. Like you remember, Miyagi's like 65 or something. He's on the beach on a
Yeah, I
stunt,
know.
which wasn't him in the film; it was a stunt actor, but he's there doing the crane kick. You know, and then they're doing all these stunts on the boats and things like that, and even on the beach you get like the sound of the beach and all these nice like it like makes the movie run at a really nice pace, because then it settles down a bit and they're on the beach and it's calm
of real life, right?
Yeah,
Which is what Hollywood tries to do. It's an escape from your daily thing, and they do things that doesn't quite make sense, but like in Hollywood movies it makes sense. In real life, you'd be like, "What the hell is that kid doing, kicking some water?"
yeah.
Or
So like you got the
But for,
drums
like,
and the
this
fight
film-
scenes where he's training him. Then you got the beach. It's calm. It gives the audience a break. And then next thing you know, they're all at the arcade. He's at the arcades with Ali, and they're having fun. And then another great song from the 80s comes on, which is an amazing song. And the next thing you know, tournament, like it heats up again. So it's like a stop and start throughout the film. Like you get a break, and then there's action. You get a break, action, and it just moves really well. The start of the film is a bit slower, but as soon as you get to that midpoint where he's actually started training him properly, and he understands it.
Oh, we've got a question from Nick. Johnny mentions about being an ex-degenerate. What does that mean? Like, we think, or at least I
There's a
think,
question.
that Johnny might have been, like, with, like, police issues. Because he does feel like the way that he phrases it makes it feel like in the past he's done a lot worse than in this film.
I don't think so. I think
Like,
the way they
they
portray it
call
in
it
Cobra Kai, he's actually a really good kid, but he has got like a really hard life because of his stepdad brings him up, and he's like a rich stepdad, and I think he beats him and stuff, and I think that's why he actually goes to Cobra Kai
in this
the first
film.
place.
Yeah,
So
in this film, it's like mentioned that he's a degenerate.
at what point?
When we first get introduced to Johnny, he's like, they're like, oh, ex-degenerate, because he's like, oh, you're a degenerate, and he's like, ex-degenerate. Oh, no.
100% about that.
No, me neither. Sorry, Nick, we're not very well, I'm not very well versed on this film.
So where was we, George?
And my one expert has no idea what we're talking about.
So where was we? Where was we at? So we've got him training Daniel now.
It's Ali. Yeah, we're getting
And then
to
he
the bit where
says
it's
like,
Ali.
he talks about Ali with Mr. Miyagi, and Mr. Miyagi's like, "What do you take her on there?" I don't know whether he says that, but he gives him a car, which is actually a really sweet ride. I think it's like I had it written down somewhere in here, and we'll discuss it later. But it was like a 1948 Ford, I think, and it's probably worth like a lot of money.
Well, you've missed a bit here. You missed a bit. So at the start, for that, Ali, like he's supposed to go on a date with Ali, and he goes to see her, and Johnny sees him looking through the window and like kisses Ali, and then Ali like clocks him around the face. But before that point, like Daniel's already left, so he only sees the initial thing and not the thing, and then like that.
I think that's later on. That's the one in the restaurant, isn't it? Where Daniel knocks a load of soup over Johnny. I think that's later on, I believe. Or was that beforehand?
I think you're confusing the films, my guy.
No, that.
I don't remember any soup being involved in this.
He's running through the restaurant because he sees him kiss, and he knocks some food over Johnny's white shirt. I have watched this film like a million times.
All those.
But yeah, there's a couple of scenes.
In the one that I watched, he just went out the back.
There's one scene where they're in the restaurant, which I'm not sure is before or after. You should have this written down because we did the scenes, remember?
I do. It
is the restaurant first.
This is after he kicks the water. Yeah, so he kicks the water, he does the montage of the rowing, and then the balancing on the thing, and then he goes to see Ali for the first time. Then he talks to Miyagi while he's drunk on his wife's anniversary.
Yeah,
And then
imagine
from
like
there, it
balancing
then
on
goes
that
to-
boat though. Imagine that, like, that must be terrifying, man. Well, not if you can swim. I can't swim, so that won't be very good for me. Yeah, and that, you know, when he's talking to Miyagi about his wartime stuff, like that is such like another like heartbreaking scene, isn't it? Like we get a glimpse into who Mr. Miyagi actually is, and like how sad his reality is. Like he's stuck there all alone.
It's the first
he's lost
time
his
you really
family.
like relate to him.
Yeah, and I'm so glad in number
Because all
2
this
that
time
we
he's
get
been,
to.
like, mystical.
In number 2, he gets to re-meet a love interest, doesn't he? From the past. We're not talking about number 2, but you know, you get a bit more context in that about Mr. Miyagi's life.
So the thing is, like, in this is the first time you really like he's personified. He's not like some mystical old man. He is a human being. Heartbreak and tragedy,
it
and that's led to
humanises
him
him, yeah.
how he's portrayed in this film.
It humanises him, doesn't it? That's what it does.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, doesn't Daniel get that framed? Or is this number 2?
In the Cobra Kai, yeah.
In Cobra Kai.
So,
in
and
number
then,
2.
like, yeah. Then he, like, after he does all the, like, talking, he then gets given the car on his birthday when he gets the gi.
Yeah.
With a patch on that his wife did. And then that is like when he goes to then meet Ali again, argues with Ali, speaks to Ali's friend, and realizes that he's been an absolute tool, and then apologizes to Ali.
Yeah,
like,
so
within the
first
space
the
of, like, 20
restaurant
seconds.
scene comes, doesn't it? Where he sees them kissing. That's the first time he meets Ali.
Yeah, so it's first, then drunk Miyagi, then it's the car, then it's
The
arguing
second
at the
time.
arcades while Ali's
Yeah.
with her friends.
And then they like make up, don't they?
Yes.
They make up with each other,
And
then
that's
you get
when,
this
like-
really good sung montage, and it's like really fun and exciting.
And then it goes into the tournament, like, straight after that. Like, you don't get any time to
Yeah.
sit back, relax. It's straight away.
You know what I find
Time to
quite
die.
funny about Daniel LaRusso? In every single film, he's got a different love interest. In every film.
You really?
Yeah. I find that quite funny because like he's always like, oh, this is the one, and he's got a different love interest. But obviously in Cobra Kai, he's like married and stuff, got kids, so he settles down
Yeah,
eventually.
but he's still hooked on Ali. Like, Ali was the person who he fully fell in love
Exactly.
with. I
But
think.
season 3, they'll look into that, and you know, she gets
Yeah, I've got no idea how that goes.
Yeah.
Don't spoil it for me, or I'll kick you in the nose.
It's good, George. So
Okay,
where
I'll
was we?
watch it.
So we get into the tournament stuff, and Miyagi signs him up, and then like, what's your dojo called?
He just steals a black belt, yeah.
He's like, what's your dojo called? And he's like, Miyagi Do Karate. And he's like, have you registered here before? And I think he says like, oh, you need to register within 6 months or something. He's like, oh, I need to register today.
Yeah, and then he gets Ali to like stand next to him as he leans in to correct how he spelled his name and steals a black belt at the same time, while using the phrase "Buddha provides," which I thought was hilarious.
Is that what he said? Buddha provides. Did he put that on the form? I just
No. So he's like, when afterwards, like, he's like, "Oh, where did you get this?" Because he's like, "Oh yeah, he's a black belt, but he clearly doesn't have a black belt, and he clearly doesn't know how to put the gi on or do the belt." But like as he says, "Where did you get this?" He's like, "Oh yeah, Buddha provides," and I'm like,
Can
"Is
I
that
just say,
allowed?"
like, Pat Morita is so good in this film. Like, his acting really sells this film. And he wasn't actually meant to be cast for the role. They actually wanted to cast somebody else, but they looked everywhere and they couldn't find a better actor for it. He was actually a comedian before this. And the directors, one of them really wanted him and the other didn't. The other one wanted like a buff, like Hollywood 80s actor, and they couldn't find anyone. They went for everybody.
Basically, what they eventually got the bad guy to do, right? Like, he was like their ideal good guy.
Guys,
God,
don't
I'm
forget
really
to
bad, but,
like the stream and subscribe for more of these Shedcasts.
Oh,
you
yeah,
can
we'll
tell
do
we've
Q&As in a bit.
definitely
We'll do a little bit of
rehearsed for this podcast. We've done our research. So
we'll take some Q&As at the end.
So Pat Morita's just so good. Without him, this film wouldn't work. It's the same with the new one. It's a combination of the actors, like, you know, Daniel and Miyagi. They're perfect casting. and in the new one as well, they're really good casting.
Characters that you need humane characters who can like clash, or not even clash, like counteract each other. Like for Miyagi and Daniel, that is that. For Jaden Smith and Jackie Chan, that is that. Like they as long as that like.
But it's like you don't know their work until it happens. You know, until they put they start acting together, and then you're like, yeah, this is the one.
This is the combination we need. Yeah.
Yeah. Robert Downey Jr. was actually supposed to play Daniel.
Still was a black belt. Really?
Yeah. In the 80s, Ralph Macchio, who plays Daniel, used to always go up against Charlie Sheen and Robert Downey Jr. for most of the roles. Robert Downey Jr. was looked at for the role of Daniel. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine people looking back and being like, "Oh, that guy plays Iron Man and Karate Kid."
That's Iron Man.
I don't think it worked.
Iron Man's in the Karate Kid.
Although Robert Downey Jr. did have that kind of look.
Is because he's kind of. I think it is because he's kind of a new actor. Like for me, I'd never seen this kid in a film before.
He had been in some other films. So... he had actually been in something with Robert Downey Jr. I think they were friends. You know, they're both.
But he has like the perfect face to be punched in the head. Like he's got the big wide eyes when he looks scared.
He stopped acting for about 30 years as well to look after his kids. That's why we didn't see that much more acting from him after Karate Kid 3. So he's like, you know, he's a genuine guy in real life. Like he stopped acting to spend time with his kids, and then he's come back.
He's essentially Keanu Reeves of the karate world.
And he's come back now, and he's obviously had another success with Cobra Kai because it's, you know, it's cemented into our culture, isn't it? Karate Kid, so hence why it works. So yeah, we're at the tournament. Finding out there.
The Cobras, really aggressive fighters in everything they do. That is like the one thing. Like I like. These guys are trying to kill these people.
They are badass though, but
absolutely, like without a doubt.
You know, you can tell that really. I mean, Kreese, he does know how to train fighters, and these guys do kick ass. But it's when they start playing dirty, you're like. No, I can't.
Yeah, like they didn't need to. They could have easily won.
Yeah,
which is
like they are really like solid fighters.
They basically threw themselves away.
Yeah, they are really solid. You know, but as you say, they're brutal. That fighting style, just throughout the film, they're just always just
brutal.
So brutal, so aggressive. But then you are like these guys are
martial arts.
And you start to think to yourself, like, is Daniel going to win this? Can he win against these guys? All we've seen is like a couple of karate training montages.
He cracks his rib, right? So he's got cracked ribs, and he like when Kreese says to Bobby, you have to like, I want him out of commission. Like, you know, it's about to get real. You know that they're going to play dirty. You know that they're not going to care if they get kicked out or if their careers are ruined, because in this moment all that matters is what Kreese says.
In real life.
Because if you say no to Kreese will kick your head in.
Yeah, like Kreese is like, he's played so well. Like, he's a really good actor again, and he's perfect for the role. And like, you are kind of like scared of him. Like, he is this really scary character, isn't he?
He's got the face for it.
He's got the eyes. Like, it's stern, isn't it?
The evil eyebrows.
Like, he doesn't even blink.
Yeah,
and the way he stands tall and he's just looking at him like that. Like, he gives him an eye and he's like, take the leg. He's like, gives him that look. And like, we got to do it. Like, wouldn't you, like, you'd listen to that guy. Like, you wouldn't disobey.
The thing is, like, like, the guy who does it is like, he's immediately sorry. He's like, I didn't want to do this. I'm sorry, Daniel. I'm sorry.
Yeah, he says,
you know, like, you can tell they're forced into this sort of.
Yeah. Because I think they actually start to gain a bit of respect for Daniel, who's been training, and he's come to this event, and it's his first time, and like, they've all been there, so they kind of do get that respect. But Kreese is obviously like, you know, we're taking this guy out. I'm not going to be humiliated by a Okinawan karate guy.
Yeah.
I'm not going to have my dojo like bad mouthed.
So Okinawa is in Japan. So when he says like he's from a separate place, he is still just from Japan.
Which I think, I think it does have some truth to it. Like, I don't know whether it's a real place. I think it is. I think it is a real place, and I think they do have their own like fighting style.
South of Japan.
I think in history, I don't know. There's some history tied to it with karate. I don't know whether they created karate or they have their own form, which is of significance.
I mean, everywhere in Asia really has their own form of martial arts. China has wushu mostly.
Yeah, but I mean,
I know that
Miyagi-Do is
like,
passed down from father to son, and Miyagi was actually taught by I think Sato's father, and
He said it was his own father.
yeah, his father, but his father trained Sato, so they were both taught it, and then it's obviously passed down from generation to generation. So yeah, they form Miyagi-Do, so it's like a generational thing.
I mean, there's definitely like a lot more. It feels to me more like Tai Chi with the way that they look, their outlook on life. Not in like their fighting style, but they are more like everything is karate. You need balance. Like that is like Tai Chi. That is like an outlook on life like that.
But it's like it's a wholesome form of karate. It's not like, again, it's not brutal.
It's not like Cobra Kai. Yeah, it's not Cobra Kai.
It's like Star Wars, isn't it?
Like more relaxed.
There's often made comparisons between Star Wars because of the light side and the dark side, and it's always done in films, but in this one, it's done really well. Because I mean, even the dark side isn't that bad, really. Like the people are forced into it by Kreese. Kreese is the true villain. You're pushed on it. He's like the puppet master, isn't he?
Like Johnny.
He's the puppet master.
You're supposed to think, oh, Johnny's the bad guy, the Cobras are the bad guys, but they're just in a bad situation.
Yeah,
and you can tell that from Cobra Kai, especially.
It's like, but the thing is, these guys have joined that dojo as kids, and they've been brought up with Kreese as their master, like a father figure, and he's taught them everything they know, so they have to listen. You know what I mean? Like, he's like a father to him, so they wouldn't disobey him. You know what I mean? He's got that hold over him. So yeah, the fight scenes towards the end are really good and really well choreographed, I think.
Yeah, not only that, but the camera doesn't move from the fixed point, which is essential in a fight scene. Because you'll notice of Hollywood films now, it'll be cut, and you'll see like motion cut, and you'll get flipped around.
Yeah.
And you'll get confused between who's fighting who and who's fighting who, especially when people are wearing black. Or that's why people wear black or white, because the white is supposed to you're supposed to be able to see.
Did you know
characters sometimes have like white sleeves?
Did you know that the cast were actually put through rigorous training and had to learn karate? And I think also
I think you'd expect it.
Yeah.
It's not a weird thing to hear, but it like films nowadays won't do that. Like I know that like actors themselves sometimes want to, but a lot of films don't require you to know.
And I think the guy who played Johnny, I think he was actually a martial artist anyway. Like I think he already trained in karate. So
I feel like they dumbed it down a bit to act like they're kids, because some of the stuff you can see like telegraphed from a mile away. Like you can be like, oh yeah, he's gonna kick, or like they slowed. I feel like they've definitely slowed it down so that you can see what's happening.
But they kind of have to, and like
what's happening.
I feel they're done really well,
especially with technology then as well.
And I think the way that they build the fights, like the way that bit is scripted, to build up to Johnny is like so perfect, and how Daniel faces all these challenges in between. And he keeps getting knocked down, but he keeps getting back up.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Like that's used a lot in like anime. So that is, as long as you don't give up, you can achieve anything. It's like a full-on like plotline of a lot of like cartoons, animes.
But in real life,
stuff like that,
it wouldn't happen. Like you say, he's got broken ribs. He's got one leg.
Bro, he's got a cracked rib, broken leg. His knee's got snapped.
I don't think it's broken, but it's sprained.
It's done enough damage.
You wouldn't be able to win in a fight in that condition, realistically. But it works for the film.
Without it's like, oh, it doesn't hurt when I.
Like you say, it's romanticized, isn't it?
You've got to move.
It's romanticized.
It's definitely romanticized, but like, still good that he does overcome all the adversity, all of the bad things, adversity.
And I love
adversity.
Like when he's had the crap beat out of him again, and he goes back to the locker room, and the doctor's like, the fight's done. He can't fight. He can't go on. And Mr. Miyagi's just there. He goes, and the music comes on and fixes him up. It just repairs his leg.
Well, yeah, because like it's at that point he's like, oh, I don't want to fight for anyone. I want to fight for me to prove that I can do this. Like that is the only reason Miyagi does fix him. Like he's not going to.
And Miyagi's like, no need to fight no more. He's like, you've proved yourself. Like you've done enough. You've shown everyone what you can do.
Which is absolutely true. He could have walked away, and they probably wouldn't have ever bullied him again.
Yeah, and then like Daniel said, like, you know, I need to do this. I need to finish it. I think Miyagi also says like, if you do it for you. And what's the line? Do you remember the correct line, George? It is like, why do you want to continue?
I know that Daniel's like, yeah, well, he says that, and then like Daniel's like, it's not for Ali, it's not for Johnny, and it's not for
it's for me.
The tournament. He wants to fight Johnny for himself, which really like is like a hero quality. That is like, that's when you're like, oh, this guy's the good guy, really. Like, he's not doing this.
I'll tell you another comparison to this film is what's it called now? It's 2007. 2007. Is it Knocks Down?
The silence that is happening.
Knocked Down or something. Nah, I don't know, but there's a really good film that's just like a rip off of the Karate Kid that's amazing. I can't remember the name. We'll carry on, Joe. So yeah, he gets back in the ring with a one leg.
I've completely lost my thread now.
As you can see, guys, we spend hours preparing these. So he gets back in the ring and he does the crane kick, and like that scene, oh my guys, it's just an epic scene. Like I say, I will watch Karate Kid just to watch that film, just to watch that scene, that part of the film. Like, it's amazing. Like, that's the kind of ending you want a film to end on. And it's hard, like, to get that kind of scene, because you think about it, throughout the whole film you've had these amazing moments, and then you finish on such an amazing scene.
Yeah, it's got to be a high. Like, that is the high point of the film. It's when you think he's gonna give up. It's where you think he's gonna fall, and for him to then do the crane kick. It's slow motion, but not really. Like, for the time, like, that is the slowest they could. Really
as a kid, like, I was introduced to this film as a kid, and I used to love it. Like, I used to watch it all the time. Like, I weared out the DVD so much that they didn't work, and I used to remember practicing the Karate Kid crane kick in the living room. And after the film came out as well, it had that effect on kids. They were all practicing.
Yeah,
we've
seen with all like hero films, right?
But like, this got people into like, just like Rocky did in the 70s. It's got people back into sports and doing karate, and got kids interested in it. So it had a really good effect in that respect. Like, you know, getting a lot of kids interested in like exercise, and
especially like now, especially with Cobra Kai, like karate has had like for a while it's been going down in I mean, on a widespread scale, like it's been going down in popularity. I mean, I know that Power Rangers does the same thing. Like, all of their martial arts is martial arts, and the people that perform them are martial artists. But you don't see them as martial artists. You see them as Power Rangers. You see them as heroes or whatever. But when it's down to earth and when it's realistic, like in Cobra Kai, like in this, it really does, like.
But it's also teaching kids.
Want to make you do these sports.
But it's also teaching kids like a lot of morals, and, you know, a lot of good qualities that like Mr. Miyagi's passing on to Daniel. He's kind of passing on to the kids who are watching it. You know what I mean? Like, only fight for like self-defense,
things you believe in.
Yeah, and only do it for you, and, you know, persevere. There's a lot of good qualities that people watching it get from this movie, and I think that's why I like it so much as well, because, you know, it's a real feel-good film. You start to get to know the characters well, and you sort of go on a journey with them. And that's really good. And then, as we said, that song is attached to the Karate Kid as well. Like, it's so perfect.
It's so good.
And then Johnny hands in the trophy as well. So, like, you get to see that, you know, Johnny has that respect for him now.
There is respect.
He's lost.
Yeah, I mean, you can always tell that he respects the sport rather than the people, but he is stuck with Kreese. There's nowhere else to do karate. You only ever see him.
I think that's one of the only dojos in Reseda, isn't it? So, or the main one, you know. But like, when he hands that trophy back, like, he could have been really crappy about it. Like, he's just lost and he's won like the last how many tournaments. But no, he gave Daniel a hug. He said, like, well done, man. He's like, you earned this.
You did really well, yeah.
You know, and that's a really nice scene, you know, to see that happening, because obviously throughout the film,
that's when you're like, oh, this guy's not just a villain, he is a human. He's just been off the wrong road.
Exactly, and, you know, you see that, and then at the end, after that bit, the ending, you see Kreese talking to Johnny, and then you actually see like that dynamic about, you know, like we said earlier, like Kreese is like the puppet master, and Johnny's saying like, you're a loser, like you forced us into this, and then he smashes his trophy, and then Mr. Miyagi comes along and he's like, he punches both windows, he gets Kreese to punch both windows, he got his knuckles bleeding, and then Mr. Miyagi's like, honk. He's like, honk. I love that. That's such a cool, that's such a funny scene, and it does get you excited for the second one. You know what I mean? Like you want to see what happens next.
Yeah.
So yeah, I really like that. So yeah, I'll give this movie definitely like a 10 out of 10. I think personally, and it's actually held up a lot over the years. I mean, Rotten Tomatoes gives it a solid score.
It has, but I still feel like there's limitations in the technology at the time, which is obvious. Like you like, I mean, I really like how it is like a fixed camera at the end of the fight. But if they'd have had like, not even just like,
I don't know though, George, because a lot of the films
cuts.
these days, like a lot of the sports films, they've got the technology, but they still don't. They don't hit like a Karate Kid film. Like they don't have the same impact.
It's because it is that fixed camera. You actually see the fight in old Chinese films, like Hong Kong films, Chinese like kung fu films. You like the reason why they hit so hard is because they actually hit.
I think what you're talking about, George, is the single angle is actually taken from is it Kurt Russell and Bruce Lee? There's a famous scene of them fighting.
Well, yeah, that's kind of what I'm saying. Yeah. But like, it's
a lot of fighting films follow that
karate films,
that kind of style, because it's like, you know, it's iconic.
It's ingrained.
And even a lot of the games of like the last 30 years, like Mortal Kombat, all use a single screen for fighting, like a single.
So the reason why I'm gonna
shot.
Go into a little bit of detail about.
I love how George he just gets technical about all the stuff, man. Like I talk about the story,
I
and he's
really
like,
do like.
Oh, let's talk about the.
Do like the tech.
You can tell you're the tech guy. Man.
So the extras in Chinese cinema, they don't get paid unless they're in the scene, whereas English or American extras will get paid no matter what.
Do you know that Jackie Chan worked on a couple of films as an extra for Bruce Lee, and he actually got punched in the face by Bruce Lee.
That's how he met Sammo. Him, Sammo, and like a lot of the like early American Chinese.
But I think he was enjoying it. It was like, "Oh, can I go again?" And Bruce Lee just punched him in the face or something. They was doing this scene where there's all these like bad guys. Bruce Lee's just kicking the crap out of them.
Like him, Sammo, all of like the original like kung fu people in film, they all came from Chinese opera.
That was
like,
inspired by Bruce Lee, wasn't it? You know what I mean? Bruce Lee was the guy, and Jackie Chan even looked up to him.
Yeah, everyone looked up to Bruce Lee. Bruce Lee was incredible. Not just as a fighter.
I think we need to do like a classic Bruce Lee film for one of the podcasts on that. I need to watch him.
I mean, if we don't do Enter the Dragon one day, I'm gonna cry. I love that film. The way, like, so I'm gonna go back to the extras and that.
Yes.
So, because they don't get paid, they are more up for actually getting hit, because if they get hit, they're on screen, they get paid. So I know that Donnie Yen doesn't pull punches. He will happily knock people out.
That's Andrew's favourite karate style, that is Donnie Yen. Ip Man.
Yeah. Well, yeah. No, the thing is, like, it makes sense in like the Chinese style, like, because if they don't get knocked out, they're not on camera, they're not on stage. A lot of the stunt people, like every stunt person in a kung fu film in China, are all actual martial artists. They'll.
I just want to say, George,
the punches. I know that.
I don't want to interrupt you, but I've got like probably 60 pages of facts on Karate Kid, so we can fit out the next like 2 hours. I wish we had like a soundboard, man. Daniel-san.
Well, like, the thing is, the one, like, that is why those films hit harder, because the impacts are real, and if they're not real, they'll do specific camera techniques I know that I remember hearing Jackie Chan saying they will pull the hit twice, so they'll hit, and then if the camera changes, they'll hit again, and then you'll see the hit twice, but it'll be like not like in English cinema, where or American cinema where you'll see it hit, and then the camera will switch and the person will go flying, and you won't feel the impact, because they cut like the punch out, and the punch is where the impact comes from, and that is why Chinese cinema and Hong Kong cinema are some of the best fight choreographers, because they will actually they'll make it so it looks realistic.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's like Rocky. You know, Rocky in Rocky 4, he let Ivan Drago, or the guy who plays him, I did know his name, but I forgot it. But he actually let him like deal brutal punches on him for Rocky 4, and you know how big Ivan Drago is. I mean, the actor. Do you know the actor's name? I did know the actor's name.
Yeah.
What's his name?
Okay.
It's not coming to my head right now, but he's like a huge actor, and he's built like a shit house. And he's doing these like brutal punches to Sylvester Stallone, and I think he broke some of Sylvester's ribs, or he dealt some like really bad damage to him. So one of his ribs was pushing into one of his arteries because he hit him so hard he almost died. Filming Rocky 4.
It's that dedication to movies that you don't really see much. Like, you'll see Tom Cruise do it, and Tom Cruise and like Jackie Chan are kind of the only people that are happy to do their own stunts, really. I mean, Keanu a little bit.
Jackie Chan's broke like every bone in his body.
Can we just have a little chat about Jackie Chan real quick? Jackie Chan, when he does his own films and he's not like with an American director,
I love Jackie Chan.
You can always tell which are better. American directors film so differently to Chinese directors. Like, if Jackie Chan was to do his own film, you can tell that that's better than, like, was it the Zodiac film? Some shitty Zodiac film. I'm gonna swear there because it is terrible. But
this is the past 10 p.m. part of the podcast. After dark.
You'll be able to tell which is filmed by a Chinese director and which is an American director based on how they do fight scenes alone.
Yeah,
it's atrocious.
I feel there's one thing we missed.
They need to take hints.
Let's talk about like Daniel and Johnny when they actually get to fight in the tournament, and it's like a seesaw battle, isn't it?
That is a technique that happens in a lot of like anime.
And it really builds suspense because like one of them gets a point, then the other gets a point, and then like drawing,
and it all comes down to the final thing. That is always like and also, in tournament arcs of any anime,
where it starts to get hyped up and where the suspense music comes on. Is Daniel actually he delivers a blow to the back of Johnny's head and gives him a nosebleed. Is that George? You still there, bud?
Sorry. Yeah, my sister.
It gives Johnny a nosebleed.
Yeah.
And then again, it's like this seesaw battle between them, so it really builds suspense towards the end of the film. And I think that's really good.
It makes you feel like they're equal fighters.
That's like a 15, 20 minutes of fighting, and it's what Cobra Kai does really well as well. Like, there's a lot of fight scenes, and that's kind of what you want to see in this film, isn't it? You know what I mean?
Yeah, and they're really well choreographed. They are. I mean, not only in this, but in Cobra Kai as well. They have like really decent choreography, even though they're kids. Well, not even kids. Like, some of them are like 20. Some of them, as long as they look young, they're able to be a teenager in a film.
What's your opinion on this film now, George? Do you think? Do you like it better than you first watched, or do you think watching Cobra Kai has made you like this film?
It has. It's changed my opinion on it. Yeah, it has. Yeah. Because it does need that backstory about it.
There's a lot of things left out, isn't there? And it's so good that they're able to revisit that. And I feel like a lot of these reboots, that's the route they should go down. They should try and mix the old with the new. You know what I mean? Because it gets the fans excited, and it also brings it to a new audience.
But it has to be done well. If you can so easily ruin a franchise by making a terrible sequel or prequel, or especially you can tell with Star Wars, right?
Yeah.
The Star Wars, the first three were incredible, and then the prequels, utter garbage. No matter what, the technical prowess incredible, but it is just awful.
Yeah.
this, like, I mean, George Lucas isn't a great director. Let's be real. He doesn't do story.
I don't know.
I
Actually,
mean,
I would say
even-
he is a good director, George. I disagree with that. I don't know why I'm agreeing.
Yeah, no, he's a good director, but he's not a good like storyteller.
Yeah.
Like, he understands visuals and beats and stuff, but he doesn't know how to write a decent story, and you can tell that because
that's
like,
a very
whereas, like,
controversial opinion, I think.
it's controversial, but it's true.
I don't think I agree with it. I'll be honest with you. But I've got so many facts, George. I think you're going to like these. I think this is what we did better. I think we did the facts quite well. I think when it comes to looking at scenes in the films, we sometimes get a bit confused. Because remember, we are talking about like a 3-hour film here. Not 3 hours, but like 2-hour film. So we have to go through a lot of footage.
Yeah.
So Daniel in this movie is actually 17. So I'll point that out. And let's have a look. So The Karate Kid is actually semi-autobiographical. It's based on the life of its screenwriter, Robert Mark Kamen. At age 17, after the 1964 New York World's Fair, Kamen was beaten up by a gang of bullies. He thus began to study martial arts in order to defeat them himself. Kamen was unhappy with his first teacher who taught martial arts as a tool for violence and revenge, so he moved on to study Okinawan Goju Ryu, I think it's called. Karate under a Japanese teacher who did not speak English but was himself a student of Chojun Miyagi. Like, that's so nice to know, like, knowing that that's the backstory of this movie and it's based on
it actually has
events,
a real life backstory makes
and the fact that the karate like actually comes from Okinawa and like a lot of the elements of the story are actually true. Like, that just makes me love this movie even more. And again, the director was the same as Rocky, so like, you know, you got a good story, you got an amazing director who's got some amazing films behind him, and also he's great at doing indie films, remember, because Rocky had a very small budget. I think with this film as well, had a very small budget, you know, and he made it work.
Have you read your chat?
Someone was talking trash about Star Wars prequels. This is why I've been some. It's George, man. He just these controversial opinions.
Can't stand them. I can't stand them, man. I don't like Anakin. I don't like Jar Jar Binks.
There's actually
They're
some
just
more to
unnecessary
this story, George.
characters.
So, as a Hollywood screenwriter, Kamen was mentored by Frank Price, who told that producer Jerry Weintraub had optioned a news article about the young child of a single mother who earned a black belt to defend himself against the neighborhood bullies. Kamen then combined his own life story with the news article and used both to create the screenplay for Karate Kid. Additionally, given John G. Avildsen's involvement with both films, Sylvester Stallone often joked with Kamen that the writer had ripped off the Rocky films. So again, like, he's took two elements and put them together. Like, that's amazing screenwriting, isn't it? It's kind of like Rocky as well. He took the Muhammad vs. Frazier fight and took that and made it into a film. So I quite like that when films are, like, you know, partly based on real events. Alright, this is going to interest you, George. Now listen to some of these names who were supposedly almost cast as playing Daniel. All were considered. You got Sean Penn, Robert Downey Jr., Charlie Sheen, Emilio Estevez. What is he playing again? I recognise that name, but I can't.
Emilio Estevez?
That's a big name.
Why do I recognise that name? I'm going to Google it. You carry on.
I think I know. Is it Mighty Ducks? It might be Mighty Ducks. Nicolas Cage, Anthony Edwards C. Thomas.
Nicolas Cage would be such an awful...
The one in Nicolas Cage for Superman as well. It's like the Tom Cruise effect, isn't it? They try and put all these big names into these kind of movies. But then again, Nicolas Cage probably back then, I don't know how well known he was. How well known was Nicolas Cage in like 1984? I think they were they were all child actors, weren't they? So.
Still quite a young actor.
Yeah, we got Tom Cruise as well. Tom Cruise was considered for the part. I think that would have actually been quite funny to see Tom Cruise play the Karate Kid.
Oh, Estevez is in Breakfast Club. That's why I recognise his name.
He also does Mighty Ducks, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, he's all doing Mighty Ducks. Yeah, Breakfast Club. See, you could
he's part
see
of the
these
Brat Pack.
guys as Daniel, but I don't think they'd have the same effect. I think it was just perfect
I think
casting.
maybe Emilio would have done, because in the Breakfast Club, I think.
The thing
he's
is, the
supposed to be like
Breakfast
the
Club
jock.
gives him it gives him a certain image, though, doesn't it? Which is hard to
Yeah, but that was
get
after.
rid of.
Breakfast Club was 1 year after.
Ah.
Bracket.
So you got Eric Stoltz, and Ralph Macchio was ultimately cast on the strength of his performance as Johnny Cade in The Outsiders, 1983. So I've not heard of that one, but Macchio has stated that his performance as Johnny influenced the development of Daniel LaRusso in his next film, The Karate Kid. Interesting. The studio was originally wanted the role of Mr. Miyagi to be played by Toshiro Mifune. I don't know who that is. Who appeared in films
I actually
Rashomon,
recognise the name.
Seven Samurai, The Hidden Fortress, but he did not speak English.
Oh, he was in Seven Samurai.
Yep. I'm guessing that's a famous Chinese.
What was his name? Masahiro Tahiro.
Toshihiro Mifune. Probably pronouncing that wrong. So this is where George gets just to listen to all these awesome facts, and we just figure out if we actually know any of this stuff, like we know any of these people.
So Seven Samurais was the the idea.
That was 1954, though.
Magnificent Seven.
Pat Morita.
Magnificent Seven was written about Seven Samurai.
Yeah. Pat Morita later auditioned for the role, but was rejected for the part due to his close association with stand-up comedy and his character Arnold in the sitcom Happy Days. Have you seen Happy Days? He's such a lovable character in that. I've not seen it much, but I know of him. He's like a really lovable character. You know that song, Dressed Like Buddy Holly? Is it Dressed Like Buddy Holly?
Yep.
Well, he's in that music video.
You mean ooh he looks just like Buddy Holly?
Yeah.
By Weezer.
I'm pretty sure he's in that. I think
Yeah,
they took a
he's
scene
the
from Happy Days.
Is he the owner?
Yeah, I think he is. After many failed attempts, Morita grew a beard and patterned his accent after his uncle, which led him to being cast in the role. So that accent that he does, where he's like Daniel-san, is actually patterned after his uncle. He doesn't really sound like that. I think he's got like an Americanized voice because obviously he spent a lot of time in America, I believe.
Yeah, yeah.
The 2007 music video. Have you heard this one? Sweep the Leg. There's a famous song called Sweep the Leg. It's by No More Kings, and the stars of Karate Kid were actually in the music video. So William Zabaka, who directed it, and references the Karate Kid. Interesting little fact. George, stop looking at your phone, man. I'm giving you all these cool facts.
I've
got like 60 pages.
This is
bro.
for fact checking.
I got like 60 pages. Well, I've realised at the end of the podcast we never have anything to talk about. So I've got all the facts here. Straight off bloody Wikipedia. Some of them are off Wikipedia, but that's not the point. Okay, so Daniel LaRusso's last name was meant to be Weber. It's meant to be Daniel
I thought
Weber.
Johnny's Johnny was something else. Johnny Rice or something, wasn't it?
Yeah, I've got that coming up. It was Donald Rice. Can you imagine if their names are Donald Rice and Danny Weber? So I think it's going to be named after Daniel Lloyd Webber, but I'm not 100% on that. I'm just going to check how many likes we got, guys. Do not forget to like the video if you don't mind, because George has got to sit through all these facts now. So it's meant to be Daniel Webber. And let us know what we should do next week. We've actually got quite a lot of likes today. I'm impressed. Thanks, guys. What
do you want to see? Do you want to see us react as like a cartoon or?
I'm sorry, but if you keep playing Fortnite, I'm going to get middle member. Marlon, that's not very nice to blackmail people, dude. I'm just playing. Fortnite's doing well on the channel, so I'm not going to stop playing it. If you want to do middle member, that's up to you, dude. Like, you know, I'm not going to force you to stay. But we're going to get back to the podcast anyway. You're the Best.
Yeah,
was
please let us know if you have any suggestions for films or anything.
You're the Best, the song at the end of the film, which is iconic.
By Survivor, not Survivor.
Originally written for a different movie. Although You're the Best will forever be tied to the montage of the fight scenes during the All Valley Karate Tournament, Joe Esposito song was originally written for Bill Conti and Ali Willis to be used in Rocky III. Oh my god, I feel like that would have been amazing. Rocky 3. I'm sure it is in a Rocky film.
Yeah, I think it is in a Rocky. It's in a lot of fight movies afterwards.
But was ultimately replaced with Survivor's Eye of the Tiger.
Which is good.
I mean, Eye of the Tiger
really
is literally
that film.
also iconic for Rocky.
Yeah.
This information in a 2008 interview on the Adam Carolla show, where he said "You're the best," was turned down for the use in the movie Flashdance as well. Can you imagine that in Flashdance, George?
It would have been weird.
It's weird, isn't it, to know this stuff about films, like what could have happened, especially when the film's like cemented in pop culture. Watching Friday Night Dinner. I love Friday Night Dinner. And was replaced with Michael Sambello's Manic. The 80s truly had an embarrassment of riches when it came to montage songs. What someone's
Yeah, they really did.
But it's good though, because
almost every song
the montage
would work in a montage sort of scenario.
But I feel like it did establish a culture of montages in movies, which is good for me.
Might have gone too far.
Maybe. Freddie really did take a soccer ball to the face. So, you know, on the beach scene, he actually did take a soccer ball to the face. As Daniel and his new friends play soccer on the beach, his eye is caught by Ali Mills, the beautiful blonde from the hills. Coolly trying to impress her, Daniel shows off his soccer skills, only to have the ball knocked away by Freddie. Watch closely and you'll see that the poor Freddie takes a direct hit to the face. And it brings Daniel back to reality. I love that they left that in. They're like, oh, that's so realistic.
They're doing a lot of films. If the actor takes damage, a lot of either the actor or the stunt guy, they will normally always leave it in.
Yeah, we discussed this earlier, but many of the Karate Kid's locations are still intact and they look exactly the same. So a few sources have provided fascinating photos of the current state of many of the filming locations used in the Karate Kid. For the most part, these California-based locations are still recognisable and look very much the same as they did back in the 80s. For a complete look at these film locations, visit its film there. Marlon, stop spamming in the chat, man. You know we're trying to do a podcast, dude. It's not good. I will time you out.
Can someone time him out?
I gave you an answer.
I can't say it because my light's in the way.
You know, in fact, I can just turn the chat off for a bit. Apologise, guys, if any of you guys did have something good to say, but I'm trying to concentrate here. I've got a lot of facts to read out, and you know, George, I'm going to lose George on this. You know, because you may discuss things with the chat. With the podcast, guys, we do try not to read as much chat because we know these are going to go up and people watch them at work, people watch them while they're on the move and stuff. And I don't want to say like I don't want to be having an argument with Marlon over the podcast. You know what I mean? It took me a while for the Karate Kid fans to find the film location for Mr. Miyagi's house. It took a while to find the film location for Miyagi's house. George, your face has gone really weird for some reason.
So is yours. I think your internet connection's a little bit goofed. Marlon just disliked my stream, dude. Fuck off.
I'm just gonna get the Discord page up now so we can look at that. Although most filming locations from the Karate Kid were found long ago, Mr. Miyagi's house eluded location haunted fans of the film for a long time. But in 2014, taking the art of finding film location to a whole new level, one fan did some major sleuthing to finally confirm the location of Mr. Miyagi's house, which sadly was demolished in the late 80s. I find that interesting because...
What's going on?
I shouldn't be lagging, George. Is it better?
I can barely hear you for a minute.
Is it better?
Not particularly.
I don't know what's going on. You hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, so I was talking about Mr. Miyagi's house. So it was really really difficult for people to actually locate it, and it was demolished in the 80s, which is interesting because I thought the house in the new Karate Kid was the original house.
Same house. I thought so.
Or in Cobra Kai. So that's very interesting to me.
Like the separate house in the oil yard, I thought was exactly the same. They must have rebuilt it and the specifications.
Like where they do karate in the back garden, Cobra Kai. Yeah, I thought that was literally his house, so I thought they kept it. Interesting. The two
They must have
run-ins
just rebuilt it.
between Daniel and Johnny were deleted from the Karate Kid's final cut. So it says the original Karate Kid script included 2 confrontations between Daniel and Johnny that were eventually cut from the film. The first takes place in the school cafeteria, just after Daniel was bought, after he bought lunch for Ali, and you see them both about to take a seat, and Johnny hurries over just in time to sneak a piece of blueberry pie onto Daniel's chair. That would have been quite funny to be fair. Standing up with his pants covered in blueberries, Daniel is equal parts embarrassed and livid. In a brave act of revenge, Daniel smears what is left of the pie across Johnny's shirt, and mayhem ensues. So I guess that's like the scenes in Cobra Kai again, where they're all fighting in the cafeteria, really, isn't it? A photo from the scene can be found on the back of the B.B. Hiller novelisation, The Karate Kid. The other scene occurs in the film and also takes place at school. Coming up from a drink at the fountain, Daniel finds himself face to face with Johnny and stands up for himself again by questioning the practices of Cobra Kai. So that would have been interesting to see. Mr. Miyagi gave
because
Daniel...
that would have led to conflict between them more.
Exactly. I wonder if that's in any of the director's cuts or anything. I might have to have a look for that. Mr. Miyagi gave Daniel a sweet ride. So it was actually... so the car that he gives him for his birthday, the yellow car, was actually a 1948 a 1948 Ford Super Deluxe Club convertible. You can tell when you speak for like.
I mean, he could have picked a cooler car.
Yeah. So Chuck Norris did not decline the role of John Kreese. There's a lot of rumours going around that he did.
He would have been a great Kreese.
Yeah, I think he would have. It says he was initially considered for the part, but turned down the role as he did not want to be associated with a character that represented martial arts in such cruel and aggressive way, which makes sense. But he said he wasn't sense, yeah. Actually. No one actually approached him for the role, but he said he probably would have turned it down on those bases. So I really like Chuck Norris. Chuck Norris is an awesome actor, man. I think I said Kurt Russell earlier.
He's in.
That's who I was talking about. I was talking about.
Yeah, you did.
I was talking about Chuck Norris versus Bruce Lee. So at least I'll correct myself on that. When you're talking for a long time, guys, that's what happens. So Sensei Kreese was actually a military.
Like Enter the Dragon's great.
There's a picture on the wall showing Kreese wearing full military fatigues and recognising him as a karate champion and a US Army captain from 1970 to 72. It's also referenced in the rest of the Karate Kid trilogy and Cobra Kai.
And Cobra Kai. Yeah, but it didn't like.
Yeah.
I swear at one point it was shown that it was like a fraud, but I might be imagining that.
Pat Morita did not perform the crane kick. It was actually performed by black belt Daryl Vidal. It just looks like it's him. Vidal is now a 10th degree black belt and one of the most respected teachers.
Probably more than that by now.
Jesus. You better start practicing crane kicks again. More than 30 years after Daniel LaRusso and Johnny Lawrence faced off in one of the cinema's most iconic showdowns, the Karate Kid has officially made a comeback. Cobra Kai. We talked about that. Pat Morita was initially turned down for the role of Mr. Miyagi. What's that, man? George, feel free to, put some facts in your own.
I won't talk facts, but I will talk cinema history.
Yeah, we'll get to that later.
Okay,
Johnny Lawrence was originally called Donald Rice. Talked about that. That would have been such a stupid name.
Donnie Rice.
Like, because Johnny Lawrence actually sounds like it's got a ring to it. Imagine him being called Donald Rice.
Because it's two first names.
You'd never be able to take him seriously.
It's because it is two first names. It has a ring to it.
Why do I have the same fact, man?
Donnie Rice.
What's going on? Yeah, Daniel's iconic shower costume is foreshadows in Mr. Miyagi's workshop. We discussed that. I've got a lot of the same facts here. It's what happens when you print stuff off. But I got sick of writing everything down, so I just thought, why not?
Yeah, instead of writing it on pen, I just wrote it in a notepad instead. Right, while you're looking for facts, both chats, give us an idea of what to do podcast about next week. Do you want to do film? Do you want to do games?
There was the film wasn't actually mentioned. I mean, the high school wasn't actually mentioned, but it's All Valley High. Also, there was a thing in the film. I think it said that Daniel's mum, she worked for Rocket Computers. It says here, Daniel and his mother moved to California as a result of her new job with Rocket Computers, Flight to the Future. The original script reveals why Freddie had never heard of it, and also sheds some light on why it seems that Mrs. LaRusso might be an employee of the restaurant across from the Cobra Kai dojo, as she shares with Daniel. They went bankrupt. Listen to this. I walk out of Rocket with the beginning of an exceeding headache. 1 in 10 about to come on. I'm going back to the car when this woman comes flying out of this restaurant, the Orient Express, and she's screaming, I quit, I quit. Right behind her, this guy is yelling just as loud, you can't quit, you're fired. This is 1 minute to noon. People are coming into lunch. I'm first, but only applicant. I got the job. When Daniel questions her new position as a waitress, his mother clarifies that she's not a waitress. She's a hostess. So apparently Rocket Computers
with the mostess.
I don't know whether that fact makes complete sense, but you know.
It doesn't. That was confusing as heck, but whatever.
Yeah, Miss LaRusso reads vintage magazines. One of the magazines was published in 1969. Easter egg. Yeah, Happy Gilmore's grandma. Talked about that.
You should really get a highlighter and go through whenever we do quite a thing. You can just go through and cross it off.
Yeah, but I feel like this is more natural, George. No, not that. I just didn't have that much time today. A band from the Karate Kid soundtrack appears in the movie. The Karate Kid soundtrack includes the song No Shelter by the band Broken Edge. The band can be seen in the film playing on stage at the Halloween dance. I feel like that's a fact you'd appreciate. 69.
It's a lot like Back to the Future.
Yeah. What band played in that?
Huey Lewis and the News. The entire song, like The Power of Love, I think they are the band in the second one, I think. I'm not sure.
Yeah. The reason I'm doing these
facts been making this up.
The reason I'm doing these facts is just I think it packs it out and gives the audience some like interesting, cool things to take away from the podcast, you know. But some of them might be complete, you know, not nonsense, but they might just be ridiculous facts. I don't know. But I have took these from like, you know, different websites and stuff. The Karate Kid fight choreographer Pat Johnson was an expert, a referee, and a toy. What do you think of that? So Pat Johnson was responsible
was a bit weird, but whatever.
For the choreography of the Karate Kid fight scenes. Johnson, a well-known karate expert, also played the part of the referee in the film's final match. That's a referee you don't like.
Is he also...
When the Remco line of Karate Kid action figures hit shelves in 1986, a figure based on Johnson as a tournament official was included in the competition center set.
Was he the same guy that did the choreography for Cobra Kai?
I'm not sure, but maybe. That would be an interesting thing to find out. So, George, get your...
Carry on. I'll look.
At least it gives you something to do. The Karate Kid includes some famous family ties. How do you expect me to know that, George? I don't just go research and who choreographed all the scenes. Like, that's something you do. You should know these things. So the Karate Kid actually includes some famous family ties. So a lot of the child actors in it, or like teenage actors, they're probably actually adults, I don't know. But Dutch, a member of the Cobra Kai,
they'll be between like 18 upward.
Yeah, so Dutch, member of Cobra Kai, he was played by Chad McQueen, which is the son of the legendary actor Steve McQueen. Interesting fact.
Lightning McQueen, he's the car from Cars. He goes ka-chow.
That's got nothing to do with Steve McQueen, George. Steve McQueen was a very famous actor. known for like many.
He was also
films.
he was also a.
I think he died in a car crash.
Yeah, but he was
didn't
also a race car driver.
Yeah, I think he died.
Yeah,
in a
that's
car
why
crash.
Lightning McQueen is called McQueen.
I'm surprised I
because of
never
Steve
knew
McQueen.
that before. Also, early on in the film, Freddy invites Daniel to a beach party with his friends. Among those friends was a Chucky, played by Frank Avalon, who happens to be the son of singer and beach film veteran Frankie Avalon. Now, I don't know who that one is, but interesting.
Frankie Avalon. I thought Frankie Avalon was a musician.
So at the Halloween dance, Daniel has a raw egg smashed on his head by a guy dressed as a chicken. Chicken George. The chicken boy is played by Todd Lookinland, brother of Mike Lookinhand, Bobby of the Brady Bunch. So one of the guys from the Brady Bunch. You may also recognise Larry Scott from the original Revenge of the Nerds role as Jerry.
Who?
Larry Scott.
I don't know what that film is. Larry Scott here.
No, Larry Scott. Lastly, although
Larry Scott here.
Actor Andrew Shue, brother of Elizabeth Shue, appears briefly as an arbitrary member of the Cobra Kai. He's best known for playing the role of Billy Campbell on Melrose Place.
These are all things I've never heard of.
So the Karate Kid was not intended to conclude with Daniel's victory over Johnny at the tournament. The opening scene in the sequel, The Karate Kid Part 2, which sees a parking lot confrontation between Kreese and Miyagi, was the Karate Kid's original ending. But Hiller's novelization of the film, early copies of the script conclude with Miyagi tweaking Kreese's nose and the members of Cobra Kai dropping their belts around their defeated leader. So I seen this and I was like, that would actually be really interesting to see them all drop their belts around Kreese.
It would, but I don't think it would hit as hard as him just winning and then fading to black afterwards.
What I really like, we talked about
Like
the
the
new
reason-
Karate Kid earlier, and have you seen when all the students start going up to Jackie Chan and they all bow, and then they become part of, like, they want to join him, they want him to teach them. I find that really interesting. I really like that ending. I like this ending too, but I'm just saying that was a really nice touch. What was you going to say, George?
Just I don't think that would have hit as hard as it did in the Jackie Chan one, because you don't get a lot of information about these characters prior to that. Whereas there is a lot of interaction between Jaden Smith and the enemy kids.
Yeah.
Which doesn't happen in the original.
Well, another thing is, you wouldn't expect, like, American teens to start, like, dropping the belts like that, would you? You wouldn't expect it.
No.
Pat Morita.
That's definitely like a straight Chinese Japanese thing to have that respect for your.
Now I've got Pat Morita facts.
I mean, mostly Japanese.
I've got Pat Morita facts now. So, you know, the actor Pat Morita had a very interesting life. He actually grew up in World War II on some of the, I think it's called internment camps.
Internment camps were the concentration camps.
Yeah, so him and his family actually were put into them camps during World War II, so he didn't have a very good upbringing. He was also hospitalised, and the doctor said he would never walk again. There's a lot of interesting facts. I got it here. Pat Morita had a more than just troubled childhood. As a toddler, he was diagnosed with spinal tuberculosis, I think it says. Something like that. Or
tuberculosis.
Tuberculosis, yeah. I can't read, George. That doesn't sound very good, does it? And it says shortly after he was sent to the sanitarium for treatment, where he stayed for almost 10 years. 10 years as a kid he spent in the hospital. So what does that disease do then, George? Tuberculosis?
It fucks with your bones, I think.
That doesn't sound
Tuberculosis absolutely destroy. From what, like, I have no idea.
I'm laughing at that. I'm laughing at the fact that I can't pronounce these things and I couldn't even freaking read what the disease is called. Carry on, George.
I don't know.
It says here. It says later on.
I could look
his
it up.
family was held in an American internment camp, which was also fate of many Japanese and Japanese American families.
Oh yeah, so so that was after World War II. The internment camps were a way for them to like control the Japanese population
Families
of America,
during and following
which
World
is
War II.
such a dick move.
Yeah, it says once released,
Because-
the family moved to California.
The reason why they were held in these camps is because at the time, Japan were in World War II still, so they were worried about spies mostly.
Like, I've watched a lot of
internal
videos on
sabotage,
YouTube
but
and
it's-
stuff about Pat Morita, and he's got such an interesting backstory. Like, I think people don't talk about it enough. For one thing, as well, to be cast as that kind of character in the 1980s in an American film and have such an impact, you know, as like a 56-year-old actor, he's just crazy. Pat Morita's acting didn't actually begin until he was over 30 years old. It says, in the 1960s, his first
Quite old
acting
for an
career was in a small part in a film, Car Thieves, in 1964. The rest of the 1960s, Morita spent much of his time playing stereotypical Asian characters. Some examples include his character of Toshi in The Outsider, and Wong in The Shaker's Gun in the West, and Oriental in Thoroughly Modern Millie. We talked about The Outsider earlier, didn't we? Didn't we say that the guy who played Daniel LaRusso, he was also in that film, I believe. Interesting.
Mm-hmm. That's what you said.
Get off your phone, George.
I'm looking for what
that was a
TV
big
does
problem.
to your spine.
At that point, you know, from the 60s onwards, that a lot of people were typecast and were playing stereotypical roles.
Yeah, especially in Hollywood, they really, really badly typecasted people. If you'd get a part just because you were light skinned or Asian, like you'd like I know that there were there was a film and there was a real big controversy about it because they hired a load of I think people that weren't even Asian as Asian characters, or they were like the wrong denomination of Asian, like they were supposed to be like Japanese and they picked like Chinese people or something. But like instead of speaking Chinese, they made them just shout like ching chong and stuff because that was easier to dub than actual Chinese sayings, which is fucky. That's real fucky.
It's really bad for today's standards, because today that would be seen as really bad. You know.
That would be discrimination.
Exactly. It says that 1980s was possibly Morita's busiest decade. For the earliest years of the decade, he continued to work mostly as bit characters in television shows like Lavine and Shirley, Magnum PI, A Whole of Paradise, and he also had a recurring role on the show Happy Days as Arnold. I think that was his other big role, Arnold. That's what everyone knows him for. Which he kept until 1983. It began in 1975. However, Morita's biggest claim to fame was his role as Mr. Miyagi in The Karate Kid. He's also voiced a lot of
He fits that
characters.
role really well.
Yeah, I can't think of a better actor to play him, to be honest. He's just like the perfect person for it, I think.
I mean, nowadays there are a lot more people that could play him, but at the time, like you can imagine, in like a still heavily racist America. I mean, America's still pretty racist now, but for them to have an Asian character in a story where the Asian character is the hero, that was a big thing for the times, I think.
Did you know that in the 90s he played in Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Murder, She Wrote, Harry and the Hendersons, The Next Karate Kid,
He was in
Captain
Murder,
Alive,
She Wrote. That's classic.
American Ninja 5, and Inferno. Oh, he also played in Baywatch as well. Hang on. Pat Morita continued to act until his death in 2005. He died in 2005.
Yeah, he died quite recently. Well, I say recently. Yeah,
However,
2005.
several
That
of the
feels recent to me,
projects
but
he
it's
was
not.
working on were released after his death. Baywatch, Centre of the World, Down in the Derby. I wonder if they had another Karate Kid in production. Like, I wonder if they're planning another Karate Kid.
I don't think so, but he's credited in Cobra Kai. They say that it is for him that the TV show was created.
Yeah. I think that's born because of that thing that went on YouTube where, the guy was posing Daniel as a bully. I think that's where it come from, because then YouTube commissioned the show, didn't it, originally?
Yeah, at the start it was a YouTube show. It was only recently that it went to I think it might still actually be on YouTube, but like season 3 was on YouTube, I think, in different countries, but it predominantly a Netflix production. It was YouTube Netflix combo.
Yeah, he got an Oscar.
It's interesting that the two huge platforms would like cooperate like that.
He actually got
because
quite a lot
Netflix
of
has access
awards
to all
for
the
Karate
actors.
Kid. He got Best Actor in a Supporting Role, Oscar, for The Karate Kid, and he got a Golden Globe for Best Performance by an Actor in a Supporting Role in a Motion Picture for The Karate Kid. Interesting.
He does deserve them. Like, he played that character perfectly.
I think he does. I think those kind of actors don't get recognised enough. And I think they should. It said his first marriage was to Kathleen Yamachui. I can't pronounce these names. In 1953, they had one daughter, Erin Morita. However, the couple later divorced in 1967. He then remarried in 1970 to Yuki. And in Karate Kid 2, his love interest actually called Yuki. So,
what's this guy's name? I've forgotten his name.
Pat Morita. I've said it like a million times. This whole other half of the podcast is basically Pat Morita based, and you don't even know what I'm talking about. Saying that, I was putting
Martino by accident.
I did forget the name of the guy who plays. I did forget Ralph Macchio's name about 10 minutes ago, but
You also confused Chuck Norris with someone else, so you have no say here.
With Kurt Russell. Come on, they are quite similar with their hairstyles and stuff. I don't know, actually, maybe not.
Kurt Russell plays Ego in Guardians, man.
Yeah, I couldn't.
That's Kurt Douglas.
No, it's not, George. That is Kurt Russell. That is Kurt Russell.
Oh, good. I did make a tit of myself and then made a tit of myself.
I was actually trying to think of his name when I was watching Guardians of the Galaxy 2 with Abby the other day. I couldn't come up with it. I was like, what is that name? And I couldn't think of the name for, the character with the tentacles. I can't think of it now either. In Guardians of the Galaxy.
Guy with the tentacles?
No,
Are you sure you weren't watching a porn parody, my guy?
The woman with the tentacles. The one who can control people and make them go to sleep.
Mantis?
Yeah, I couldn't think of Mantis. I couldn't do it now. I was getting confused, man. So Pat Morita died on November the 24th.
They're... Antenna.
I would call them tentacles, George. So he died on November the 24th, 2005, and his cause of death was kidney failure. Do
you know that he was in the movie?
73.
I think he
73 when he died. So where does that put him then? 2005, take 20 years off to 1985. So he would have been 53. To me, I would put him around 65 in that film, but
I think they aged him quite a lot. Especially I think they grayed his beard and stuff.
Why have I got all these rubbish facts? There's quite a lot of Pat Morita facts anyway. But I read there was actually a stand-up comedian. I'm just going to take these off my head now. I'm not going to read anything else. But he was actually a stand-up comedian. That's how he first got into like acting and stuff. And he was in this this one bar doing stand-up. And he went over to the waitress. And she said, "Do you know who's performing tonight?" This is quite a funny story. And I don't think he said anything, but it was actually him performing, and it turned out that all the people in the restaurant were survivors of Pearl Harbor, and he was a Japanese stand-up comedian. Can you imagine that being that person on stage?
To be honest, I'm gonna go out of my way here and be a little bit of a dick. But 2 years into a world war and you don't defend your own harbour, idiots. Yeah. I mean, it was obviously a disaster and horrible, but
yeah, but think about it, being in his position and their position.
Oh yeah,
bearing in mind,
absolutely. That would be a horrible situation to be in.
Yeah, so yeah, he was doing stand up, and he's Japanese, and all these guys were survivors of Pearl Harbor. He nearly gave him a heart attack. And a lot of his original jokes during stand-up were actually he just took them out of magazines. But then he started to go into acting and get acting roles. But he did actually have like a successful business. I think he was like an engineer or something, I read. And he had a successful business and he was making a lot of money, but he got burnt out and didn't like it and was like, it's not making me happy. So I have to give him props for that. And he got into acting like in his 30s. You know, and he started to bald young as well. But he got into acting in his 30s.
Can we just not talk? Can we talk about his hit film, The Karate Dog?
You mean his hit film, The Karate Dog?
I'm just looking through his filmography list, and it goes Mulan, The Karate Dog.
Was it Mulan? Yeah, because
Mulan 2, yeah.
He did a lot of animated films. I can't remember
he's a voiceover for a lot of
stuff.
stuff.
They've got so many pieces. But yeah, he had a really interesting life, I think, and I think it's good to discuss it. If you guys want to know more about Pat Morita, then go on YouTube and search it. He has a really long backstory, which we've kind of discussed for like the last hour.
What we've done is we've scratched the surface.
We've just scratched the surface, really. And plus, they'll put it better than me because we've been gone for 2 hours and I'm starting to mispronounce all my words, man.
And these people spend like months doing research on stuff where we took a week. And even then, it was only like 2 days of a week.
2 days a week? That's being nice, Jordan.
Yeah. So if there is anyone in chat,
but I have been
any of you in chat having ideas,
this is why me and George do these, because we like to talk for like a couple of hours, and a lot of it is garbage, but you know, it's just interesting to get together.
But it will just fill your ears with our voices, and you can relax.
What if this actually takes off, George? We've actually got a lot of people actually watching. I think today has been our most successful one, ironically. I'm pretty sure Marlon's done the dislike, but...
Yeah, he did on mine as well.
Let me just discuss that. So, like, he's probably not watching, but all you guys wanted me to switch back to Minecraft. Like, you should know by now, I'm just going to do whatever content I like. So Marlon's saying, oh, I'm going to reduce the price of my membership and stuff. You know, obviously
Acting
I have a
like
lot of
that's
fans.
going to actually control how we do.
I have a lot of fans that also like to watch the Fortnite stuff. I have like 20 members that also watch that. I have a lot of fans that don't like the podcasts. Like, a lot of people don't watch these, but me and George enjoy doing them, so we do them anyway. Like, you know, we find it fun to do. So I'm not just going to switch. And
especially in future, like, we're going to hopefully live closer to each other so we can do them in person, right? Well, so imagine us doing this but drunk. How funny would that be?
I did say to you, George, we should move in and split the rent or something and just do YouTube all day. Like, that'd be so good. If we actually made like it successful on YouTube, that would be the perfect thing to do, I think. Move Rocky in.
It would be, I think, having a separate office.
Yeah, true.
You know,
healthy
would work.
But like, I'm sick of people telling me what kind of content to make, because I will just make whatever I want. You should know by now that
we do stuff that we enjoy.
If you look through my channel, the content is always changing, and a lot of people don't like that because they like to have one set content. But YouTube's like a place where I express my ideas, and you know, if I feel like playing a game, I will play it.
The thing is, YouTube is a thing where you can't stay stagnant. You can't just stay doing the same thing, or you will just sink.
I've spent 3 years playing Minecraft, and it's not getting much traction anymore. It's dying out, and it's hard.
And it's not a great game.
When no one's watching, like
at the minute, it's bugged.
When no one's watching, like what's the point? Like, you know, like I might as well just play it.
There are other games we can play. Apex doesn't get much views, but we enjoy playing it.
It's like
Fortnite gets views. We enjoy playing it.
It's helping the channel grow. And me and George were dead against playing it like 2 months ago. But like, I seen there was a gap in the market and we should play it. It was getting a lot of views. Me and George started playing it, started enjoying it. So, you know, the only reason I've not done it today is I've been too busy. But I was thinking in my head, I was like, I really want to play Fortnite for you guys, you know. So, plus on Minecraft, George is not really into that game.
The thing is, you have to learn that we do things that we enjoy. We are not here specifically for your entertainment. We don't belong to you. We do what we want. If you like what we do, enjoy what we do. But if you don't, that's your problem, not ours.
That's what
you know?
I like fans.
And like, we're not going to change. We're not going to change who we are to pander to a bigger audience,
Like,
really.
the people
Like,
that sub to me, just for me, because they like me as a person, they enjoy watching me talk and watching me play whatever game it is. Those are the audience that I like. And yeah, it's just it is a bit toxic. Like, I can't say to Marlon, "Oh, I'm gonna start playing Minecraft again because you're gonna take your member away, or take it down to a lower price." Like, if you're gonna do that, you're gonna do it. Like, I'm not.
if you're gonna do it, that's your decision. That's got nothing to do with us, man.
Abby said she's
We're not gonna listen to you blackmailing us.
Yeah,
Life lessons, kids.
Yeah,
Exactly.
we shouldn't even be talking about this.
This
at
is the
end
part of the podcast where we talk about.
We're just gonna talk about YouTube for a little bit and random stuff. So get some comments in there if you want to ask us a question about Karate Kid. You know, as that was the source.
I know that I got a couple of questions from Nick earlier. He's asked.
I think Nick's been doing research to catch us out, man. Abby said she's been watching Joel Weather Abandoned Places. Need to watch the Shedcast aside from Nightmares. I actually like watching them. I find them interesting.
So,
Spooky, though.
Mick asked, "What do we think of the idea of an anime Karate Kid?" I think that'd be really good. I think animation can really push.
They've just made a Cobra Kai game
karate
for PC.
Yeah, but imagine like an animated,
I think they make comic books.
Because in animation, you can do things that you cannot do in real.
I think it would be good to build out the story because obviously anime is on for like 1 million episodes, but I don't know. I mean,
but the thing is, like, they don't have to. Animes can run for 12 episodes, but imagine how like the fighting scenes would be improved by animation styles. They can really push the boundary on what can actually happen to someone.
I want to know,
like motion-wise.
Just a little side note, guys. I want to know what all you guys think of Karate Kid and what your opinions are on it and what you think of the film in this comments section if you've watched it. Cameron joins. Cameron talking about anime.
Okay, and also
I do try to avoid the anime
before we do that
because I don't know anything about it.
Oh, I know. I really like.
The only thing I know about anime is I ordered Spider-Man. You know, the new Spider-Man.
And got flushed away, thrown away, spirited away.
Yeah,
That's
I
the
got
one.
Spirited away, and I'm still.
Who in the movie?
I got a free copy though, so now I got.
Who in? It's a good film. Spirited Away is great. So Nick also asked, who in the movie can you humanly relate to, or who has the most casual backstory? So for me, I fully relate to Ali. To be honest,
I think I relate.
She's just floating in her life, doing her own thing.
I think I just relate to him because of the perseverance thing. But I think everyone wants to be Daniel the
like
Russo,
Ali is
after watching this film. Like,
Ali's just there doing her own thing.
Yeah.
And then suddenly, like, some guy and some guy are fighting, and then they're fighting over you, but are they really? Then they make friends at the end or something. Like,
you know,
she's just doing her own damn thing.
You know,
I really enjoy that as a character.
May, George.
Yeah, I know. I heard that. I mean, to be honest, you might not even get into the country in May. We don't know what's going to happen.
I did mention to him that he should wait till the lockdown's finished and see what happens because I don't want him to come over and we can't do anything. Like, what's the point? Wait till lockdown's finished and we'll sort something. Like, we could even drive down.
I don't know about July, but
like,
we
Rocky's got a driving license.
Thinking of easing restrictions.
Rocky's got a driving license.
We're thinking about easing restrictions in March.
Rocky's got a driving license, so I think you can use that in the UK, can't you? As long as you got one.
Yeah, as long as I think you just like. It should be fine.
So I was thinking, if we hire a car, we can all go down to like Blackpool or something, pick George up on the way, and then have like a weekend away or something, or a week away.
Vlog time, baby.
Yeah, vlog it all. How would that sound? That would be awesome, don't you think?
Yeah, it would be. Speaking, right, I'm going to go back to anime again. Just out there. So...
I hate anime questions.
I think, like... The karate style.
We had a question before on the podcast. Someone was asking me, like, is Simpsons considered anime? I mean, it is animation, but
no, it's not.
Anime?
It's not anime. Anime is specifically Japanese animation. Simpsons is American.
We're going to be in lockdown
until
July. On one hand, like,
I don't think it's going to be eased lockdown. It's going to be eased lockdown in July, but I think it's harsh restrictions till
do a Voog.
March, end of March.
Do a Vogue.
Do a Voog. It's harsh restrictions till the end of March, I think.
Take me too. We'll have to see what Rocky says. Like, he'd be driving, because obviously I can't drive, and George can't.
He'll be driving the limo.
That would be a
camper.
Cool thing to do. If Rocky comes, we have to do it.
Incredible.
We have to do it. We have to make a thing of it. Because it's coming all the way from the US, and it's going to cost a decent amount. How long is Rocky stay in the UK? Well,
Okay, so
I was thinking,
no, boys only.
if the YouTube thing took off in the future, we could make a business like Shed Incorporated or something, register it with
Shink.
trading standards or whatever.
Company Houses Limited.
Company house, and then I
It's
can
company
employ
houses.
people, and I can employ Rocky because he'll have a position in the UK. He could stay in the UK, but you would have to work for that, Rocky. I'll just get him like.
I
doing
think.
dishes
Well, I
and
mean, you could join it. You could just move to the UK anyway. It's just that you wouldn't have, like, you don't need a visa for the UK.
stuff. No, I think you do if you're gonna stay here permanently. But I don't know because
Only from specific countries.
Maybe. I'm not sure, but I think you do need a visa no matter what, especially with Brexit and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, Brexit might have buggered it, to be honest. But at one point you didn't, because free movement from European
Wouldn't that be
countries
funny?
and
Rocky can come and work
I think outside of European as well.
have to make sure Rocky doesn't take my man. I love this. This is why we have to make the podcast like have a specific theme, because this is the kind of questions we get. Next week we might just do like a random.
Do we
question
actually?
one.
But before we go on to like more like down the rabbit hole chat with Abby
I
and
got a
stuff,
girl I want to
but-
meet in the UK. So I can do a little dirty.
do we have any suggestions for movies, TV shows, games, any sort of medium? Like it could be comics, it could be
Well,
anything
next week, let's
that you
take
think
a
would
break.
work
Let's
well
just-
in a podcast
Let's
format.
just talk random rubbish next week, like we usually do. We get the PlayStation 2 games there. Or why don't we do like a favourite movie? I don't know. Just do like random stuff, like all topics like we used to. I don't want to do movies every week because I want this podcast to be
No.
different.
Well, that's why I'm specifically like pointing out like TV shows or music or
Sometimes I
some other
fancy
medium,
discussing a movie, but sometimes I fancy just having a chat. And I think sometimes
that's fine.
the chat gets annoyed. Like I know you guys get annoyed. And I know you're always saying, "Shed, are you replying to comments?" Because normally I do. Like normally I do reply to these comments, but when you're doing a podcast, like now, this whole
Star Wars.
later half of the podcast is just complete not garbage, but just
yeah. We normally do Q&A
for
towards the
people
end
who-
anyway, so it's
for
like,
people who have tuned in to talk about Karate Kid. We're talking random rubbish now. So like they're sitting there going, "This is not what I tuned in for."
you want to do Star Wars?
And you
I
got
mean,
a
I like
if
the
you got a Pokemon card strapped to your jacket. Like, what is that?
No, it's the Flash. It's the Flash.
Why have you got that on your jacket, George? What is that about?
Because it's attached by spikes. I've got like punk spikes, but it's in like my pastel punk jacket.
Such a weird taste in fashion. George used to dress like
Wait a
Freddy
minute.
Krueger in uni, just because we've seen a red and black
Dude.
top in the Sports Direct with the rips in and stuff.
Dude, I would have absolutely loved just to
I've always
let go of
been
my
something
fashion and just go with whatever I wanted. Just go absolutely mental. Like I would have done makeup and everything if I could.
You can do it.
Like I would have just like that was the perfect time to do it. Like
You can do it.
was university was a
Well, I've seen these
when I
pictures
wear
of
my
you on
purple
your
lipstick
Instagram,
and my
George,
black
where you, like,
fingernails.
draw it on your arm and stuff like a weirdo. Like, what is that about? I think you was losing
Bro,
it
I
towards
was
the
just
end
having
of the
fun. I was losing the plot. It was great.
I feel like we're still losing the plot, man.
Uni does that to you. Uni does that to you. What's up, Alfie?
How's everybody doing? By the way, guys, I've been doing videos on TikTok. Card
Alfie, don't
openings.
out me on the GCSE video.
Card openings, and I did a duet with someone who has 250k followers. One of my favourite TikToks. He actually replied, so it's been a good day. I just always get hyped up when someone with a lot of followers, like, you know, acknowledges you.
Interacts.
I think a lot of you guys get
Yeah.
that in the chat when I talk to you, but like, I'm just a normal guy. But like, it even happens for me, like, because I look up to some people and I watch those people, and I'm like, this is my content.
Yeah.
So for that guy to reply to me at 250,000 people who are probably duetting him, it's ridiculous.
I mean, so how does TikTok actually work? Do you get
It's just really
monetized
addictive.
videos? Is that a thing? Is there?
It's just really addictive. You do get monetized
Is it
videos, but you
monetized,
gotta
though?
have 10,000 followers. No, 10,000 watch views, 10,000 views, and 1,000 followers. And you have to be over 18.
So, like, that reminds me of early YouTube, back when short form content was a thing. Like back in the day of like.
It's really good because you can do what you want. But the main problem with TikTok that I don't like is they have no like They don't really have any moderators. They just ban people for no reason. Like, you can report someone for having nudity in their content. They take down your whole channel when you didn't even have that in your video. So
yeah, I saw that.
really
Someone
bad.
was so they said I was tagged for nudity, but I was wearing a turtleneck.
That
Explain that
happens so
on
often.
TikTok.
It happens so often. Is that you that's followed me, Ruby Grooves? Oh, Roman Grooves 0. Is that you, George?
You absolute gorilla. That ain't me.
Roman Grooves. That's like Ruby Grooves. Look.
You're goddamn blind, man.
Roman Grooves.
You're an
That
idiot.
guy just got a shout out on YouTube. You should get it, George. It's very addictive, and it's really weird the way, like, there's a For You page, and the content's supposed to be for you, even when it's not for me. I keep seeing the same
But it
people over
just
and over
paid.
again, and then you end up following them. But that's really good for pushing your videos.
So did you
because
hear about the YouTube glitch?
What?
There's currently a YouTube glitch where, as long as you have access to a community page and you can do community posts, even if you're not even in the thing, you will be pushed into other people's inboxes. And people have just like, do you know Dream, the Minecraft YouTuber, controversial? The reason he exploded in the past like year is because he's been using his community tab, and like that pushed you into
I've only got
like
36
YouTube is really
followers,
like
bro.
focused on the.
Alfie's like, shout me out on TikTok. I've only got 36 followers. I want me to showcase your TikTok. I'm not showing everyone's TikTok on YouTube, guys. That's not what this video is. I just had to show that because I thought it was George in disguise. You know, Roman Groves. I mean, come on. Ravy Graves, Roman Groves. Like George's alter ego.
So, if you want to look at like what this like bug is, go to YouTube and put in
By
the
the
spiffing
way,
Brit, and there's an explanation about why it works and
Fox,
stuff.
you just said watch your TikTok. If you look to the left at the bottom of the screen, it says TikTok, Instagram, and it also shows my creator code. You guys are missing out if you're not following on Instagram, because every time we do one of these podcasts that's movie based, George makes a totally trash thumbnail that just is hilarious. It just makes me laugh
I really
for
enjoy it. I
hours.
do it bad on purpose as well.
And
They're so
I'm
fun
putting all
to
those
make.
on the Instagram, so I might actually get it up on screen. I'm putting those on the Instagram, so you're missing out if you're not over there. Oh god, what have I done?
Like, I really enjoy making awful thumbnails. Oh, where'd you go?
I'm just gonna show him the thumbnail. George hasn't even photoshopped this
okay.
properly. It's so bad that it's good in a way. That's George's style.
What I did, I spent most of the time color matching the skin tone, which doesn't even like. It looks okay on you, but on me,
It's
I'm way too
George's
dark.
face here. Like, what
But-
have you done to your chin, George? Like, that is on Instagram, and last week we had an Indiana Jones one. It just makes me laugh so much. I've got to mention it because it just gets me super hyped for the podcast because it's so funny. Where's the
Really
Indiana
funny.
Jones one? You can see these on TikTok, guys. It's a little promotional thing. We're only going to redo this for movies, I think.
You mean Insta
Where's the other one gone? Have you got the other image?
or movies or TV shows?
I got a Photoshop
I
thing,
can. I'll send it to you in Discord. You should be able to find it.
yeah. I should have it. Oh, there it is. So that's the Indiana Jones one. That
You'll
was a
notice my
collaborative
picture will
effort.
always be the same one.
That was a collaborative effort. And then the latest one is this one. You know, you're so cheeky, George. You said my face matches ball with Mr. Miyagi. What are you talking about, George? I have to pay this face.
So the skin tone match. In the picture, it was one from when we graduated, and the lighting was just perfect for your skin tone to be Mr. Miyagi. Like, all I needed to do was blend the
I'm guessing
edges.
that's like Liam's Umbrella or something. But yeah, this is hilarious. Like, I could actually probably do a better job of these, but I don't have the time, and George just...
They wouldn't be as funny.
So
They wouldn't be as funny.
it's just hilarious. So I'll put those on Instagram. So if you go and follow over there. Well, it's something nice to do on Instagram as well, to share that as a little promotional thing, you know. And I just love looking
Yeah,
through them as
absolutely.
well. Like, I've got them all here, look. So it's going to be like a series on the Instagram page. So don't forget to follow.
Yeah, and we'll do the same for TV shows. If we ever do TV shows or games, like if there's a specific scene from a game, we can easily just switch our face in. Like, that's so easy to do.
I want to talk about the different types of content that I make. So on TikTok, it's going to be pack openings because I was doing those originally on here anyway, and sometimes random videos. Some of you guys already follow over there. On Insta, I'm going to do updates. Updates for the podcast, updates for stream setup, things like that, new things I'm buying, random stuff basically. Facebook is going to be the same content that's on YouTube. The podcast probably won't appear on there. Like, I don't put those on Facebook. It just doesn't make sense to me. YouTube, obviously, gaming, podcasts, all that sort of stuff. And possibly some future stuff to come. I know I say you're showcasing the badges, George. I can just see that you want me to talk.
Not just your badges, but my badge as well, which is just my face.
Oh, nice, Minist. Thanks for coming over, man. Yeah, I'm Lynn's brother. Double X cheese brother. What was we talking about now? I've lost my train of thought. We got any other platforms? Discord. We have a Discord channel if you want it. I can tell you. About 70 people over there.
It normally gets put in chat.
Yep. And then obviously we've got the creator codes.
And whereas my content, all I do is art and videos.
And as I said earlier, the Fortnite videos are going to keep coming because they're getting views. The channel's growing, and I'm trying to aim to get like 10k subs so I can do.
I mean, until we burn out of the game as well. Like,
but
once we burn out of the game,
we'll
move on to something else.
Brings new people to the channel. Other games aren't bringing anyone in. Like, then we have people to watch when we play Minecraft, when we play Apex, when we do a really bad podcast that we've got, like, well, we have done research. I'll say they're bad. They're not that bad, but it's just the way we do it. I think actually works better than if we spent a lot of time.
Did it properly. I think if we tried to do it professionally, it would not be as funny as low budget, low tier.
Yeah,
just two dudes having a chat.
Discord. We already have a custom Panda Discord, Alfie. But yeah, George has made some badges as well, which might be going out to people. I think they're probably going to be about £2 each because postage. George is going to make them. He might have to buy more materials so we can make more. So if you want one, let us know. And then just like PayPal or
we'll mainly we'll do it through donations.
But it's
probably.
just like, just to provide George with the materials and stuff because he's making them himself. But you can see him on the screen. Don't know whether you want to show a close look at them. This is George's venture, so I'm not really involved in it, but it's going to go to all people who like to support the channel. There might also be a Shedwoods badge, and also the Shedwoods logo on Facebook might be put on a badge. So I don't know if you want one of those. I feel like you should get the whole badge in there, George, but it wouldn't work, would it? My logo would work
without a different, like,
the Facebook one.
It needs to have a specific color, like, background, but, like, I mean, the gold one looks. I could do the gold one better. I just need to get the size down, and the sizing's the hardest part.
So what do you guys want to talk about then? In the comments, let's get some questions. This part of the podcast is for you guys because I know we've been neglecting you a bit, but we always talk to you guys at the end. If you guys have stayed and watched the whole thing, then I appreciate that massively. 17 likes, George. That's actually quite funny.
Yeah, and I got 17 and 1 dislike, and I got 5 and 1 dis, which is like my consistent. Get on with Mitch's face. I mean, I could. It's Abby. If you want that, I'll make you that just for you.
Mitch's face. Right. I was gonna get
I can do that
the pillows,
just for you,
George, with the massive faces on. I was gonna get Abby one of those.
I was gonna do the same.
It's so funny.
I was gonna get Taffel with my face on. Actually, it was going to be this face. This is the face I was going to do, which is the one when I was in the balloons.
Terrifying. You just love that photo.
Like the sequel one, I really do. I think it's one of my favourite photos. Either that or when I'm hanging off the tower, like leaning backwards like that.
Why do people always want to know this? I've talked about it so many times, but like, I used to just like take stuff apart and stuff, and one of my teachers said like, "Oh, you should get me in your shed, and you can make some crazy stuff. Like you can be an inventor or something." I think it was my maths teacher. And then I got a PS3 after that, and my second name is like Edwards, so Shedwoods, it makes sense as a nickname. And I got my PS3 in 2008, and I was like, what am I going to call myself? And I was like, oh yeah, Shedwoods.
Just like, it's for me, it was exactly the same kind of thing. It was the first thing that came to my mind is like, oh, what do I enjoy? Music, what is another name for music? Rave, 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 ravey graves. That was it. That was the only thought that went into it. You know, like it was like a throw in the moment, like ha.
But back then, that was like how we used to come up with our IDs, though. Like, I don't know.
It's better than some of the dumbest ones.
It's
I
like
used to have a friend that
Alfie's
went by the
second
name of
is
like.
M's, so he's called himself M's. It's a similar thing, really, but it has like a bit more of a backstory.
I had a friend that was something like Tomb Raider 6969 XX. You're like, well, that's stupid. Why would you call yourself that?
Verified thing to say.
Like, there's no creativity.
I don't want to say that at the moment, Alfie. Like, I'm not got time to be going on random discords. Those pedals are funny. Yeah, I should get you one, Abby. I really should. Why is there panda badges? Because, yeah, we just said that you can buy them. They're going to be £2 for, like, probably 2, George, and George will post them out.
Sure.
It might be a set of 3, actually. It's a Shedwoods logo. Or you'll have a choice from 3.
Be whatever your
the Shedwoods
it'd be whatever
logo,
your current badge on
or the panda badge
channel. So you're on gold, so it'll be a gold one. If you're on
but
the wood tier, you'll be
they're
able
going to
to
be
get the wood
cheap,
one.
so they're probably going to be like £2 for like 1 or 2, and obviously George has to pay postage. He's going to make them. I don't have any part in this. This is George's venture, and we can't promise that they're going to be like the best quality, but George's going to practice making them and stuff. And you know, it's just a little souvenir. I can't imagine many people having these shed badges. If we ever blow up to like 100k, you can say that I've got a shed badge from when Shed had like 2k followers. I'm buying one right now. If you want to buy one, Alfie, go over to George's page and like donate like £2 or whatever it is to him, and he'll sort it out. Can I have
Yeah,
one
I'll
for it? Sure. I bet Alfie's going to be the only one that actually gets them. I should probably do like a video on it, shouldn't I? Really, so people know.
Probably, yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it can be
Alfie,
a
if you want
to
to
plug in.
do it in Discord, and I'll
But like,
get you just another.
you know, there might be a bit left over as well. George can like put it to getting some more badges on eBay and stuff, because I think they're like what, like a £5 for like a bag of, I don't know how many. But it's only going to be a limited
when
run.
I got like,
we're not going to make like
yeah, I got like
1,000.
200.
We're not going to make like 1,000 of them. We're going to make like probably.
It'll be print
50
to
on
order
it.
as well, so it'll be
Yeah.
like there won't be any wastage.
Because I'm going to be a Shedwoods thing soon. Yeah, the other badge we're talking about is actually the Shedwoods logo that's on Facebook. This is the one that I want George to use. George's face is probably gone funny again, but I'll see if I've got a copy of it on my computer. I'm looking through all my random downloads now. So we got this red shed badge, and we have this shed badge, the Facebook logo. There's a couple of variations of this. I don't know which one you prefer to use, George.
You want a custom one?
I don't know.
Custom ones will be a little bit more pricey because I have to do the artwork for Alfie, but sure.
I mean, we got this badge. I think this would convert quite well to a badge, in my opinion.
That's demonic.
That would work quite well on a badge, I think. Shrink it down. I've got one without the face in the background, a couple of different variants.
What do you mean by a blue shed badge, Alfie? I mean the one he's showing now.
Hey, Ethan. Hello,
What do you mean,
bloody legend.
panda?
Hello, Ethan. It's been a long time since I've seen you around, bro. So, George, discuss the badges again. Then let's let people know what you're working on. Just give me a second to get your face back on. So, if you guys want to order one of these, then just PayPal George. They're going to be £2 for we'll say, how many are we going to do, George? 2, 3?
2 for 1, probably.
Yeah. So
That way, like, printing won't cost. They're quite small, but I mean, from like bigger places, you'd be ending like
I'd say
getting like £5 for one.
I'd say 2.
But because for me it's just a trial thing, I don't mind doing
I'd
a little
say
cheaper.
£2 for 3 badges. But bear in mind, guys,
That's a little
George
bit too
does
cheap.
Price. He has to post them and stuff. All right,
Yeah,
then we'll say
postage will be the thing
£2.50
that
for 3
is the
badges.
most.
So if you want one, you can get this style here, which is the Shedwoods Facebook logo. You can get my other logo. That's
But it'll
on
be
YouTube.
round. They're only rounds.
Yeah, they'll be round, but you know, we'll sort that. I'm basically going to send these to George and he's going to work on it for you guys. But George has some examples there. And they're not going to be the best quality, but they're going to be a very limited run.
I mean, this one's pretty short.
This is kind of the first iteration of Shedwoods merch. It's never existed before. before. I'm only doing it because George wants something to do.
Yeah, it's honestly because I am out of my mind with boredom.
I'm not taking any profits from it. If there's any like profits left over, it's just going to be George making more badges or putting it towards some more merch or whatever.
Yeah, well, it'll all go back into the channel, into the stream.
Yeah, George can choose his prices, but I'm just thinking like try and make it cheap. I mean, if it's if it's posted to America, it's going to be a bit more. But I don't know. You guys will just have to let me know.
Yeah, the American postage is difficult.
It might be UK only, to be honest, guys, because I think posted to America.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely, Alfie. The Panda will fit better. These are just the trial ones. I've got to do way better ones, man.
Yeah,
Don't worry
if
about
you want one, you'll have to just.
I've got the original art as well.
You'll have to let us know now, because George is.
Yeah, and I've got all the original art, so I can do a little bit of customs and stuff. But you know.
Yeah, it'll probably be like
Oh yeah, they
send George like whatever his costs are, and he'll get them made. I mean, there's
no. We do it on Discord.
There's no other Shedwoods merch currently available. I did design a hat, but I've not released it anywhere. So
the thing is, they're quite small, so they end up coming to. Here's like an old one that I did when the printer wasn't working. Hang on.
So this is one that I made using stolen art. Like it's quite small, but for like, it's not expensive.
Yeah, I mean that's quite cheap. Like £2, £2.50 for like 3 badges is very cheap because you gotta imagine George has to print more, do the designs, post them.
How the bloody hell do I make them?
He's got a badge make. I've seen one of those on eBay. I was gonna buy one, but how do you actually use it?
It's a heckin' chonker, mate. You cut your things to a certain size,
and then you
get.
Oh, so they're like paper badges.
Hang on.
It's like paper then.
So you get like metal. So it's a button badge. So you get your metal goes in first, then your picture on top. Then there's like a clear plastic layer that goes on top of that. Then you press that down, and then you slide your thing across, and you get the back of it. And then you slam onto that, and then it.
Well, how much you want to charge from George? And I'll have you make me some. So
I mean, £2 for one. £2 for one's probably the best.
No, let's give people a better deal than that, George. I think like £2 for at least 2 is fair.
2 for 2. 2 for 2. Yeah. Okay.
So I want 4 different designs. So I'll send you some money, and you can make me some first. So I can show them off, and we'll see what they like. How about that?
Fine. Oh yeah, it's nothing like the kid badge makers. Like here, this is industrial, and I got my finger stuck in it, and it hurt. So, have I told you the story about me getting this?
In fact, George, try and
when I
make
first
me,
got
6 designs and post them over.
So when I first got the maker, I was actually sent the wrong thing. I was sent an egg incubator, and because it was a Chinese company, they let me keep the egg incubator rather than giving me the refund.
You should try putting eggs in there and see if they hatch. It's happened before.
Oh no, I sold it. I sold it straight back. I was like, "No, I'm selling this." Because it was cheap, like because it was a Chinese company, it was cheaper for them to let me have it and get the refund than it was for them to send it back to them. So I kept that, made some money on that,
right,
and then
if you can make me like 5,
went
6
with a different
designs,
company.
I'll PayPal you £5 so you can pay for the postage and stuff, and then send them over to me, and then people can see what they like. But by the way, guys, I'm not making any profit out of this. I've just paid £5 so I'm actually losing money if anything. But it's just something that George wanted to do, and it's a little cool thing that you guys can own, I guess. I used to have a badge maker when I was a kid. You know what I could do? Maybe I could do some like hand-signed business cards or something. Not business cards, but like that kind of template with Shedwoods on it, and you guys can get like a little autograph. Not that anyone would want my autograph, and send them over to George. They could put them in with the badges. I used to have a badge maker.
Absolutely, it's.
Well, there you go, George. I've sent you £5 anyway. So you can do like 6 designs and send them to me.
I will.
And then I'll show you guys what they look like. If any of you guys want them.
Well, I've got the original like panda badges as well. Yeah, this is the only shed merch you'll see for the next
he'll perfect them.
Many years.
There is going to be merch at 10k, and there is some merch that I've designed, but I'm trying to get it like cheaper for you guys, and I want to take my time with it. I don't want to just release it. It's like something like this is just going to be like a one-off thing. know, if you own one in like 10 years, if we ever blow up, imagine owning one of them. Like, if I don't know, one of the big YouTubers like KSI released a random thing when he was only like a year into YouTube, and you own it.
Yeah,
it's a cool thing to have. Mango Loco badge. I'd love one of them. This is definitely my.
See, I kind of want to make like these size badges, but I do not have the dies for them or anything like that. But
how much the dies cost?
You know, it's a thought for future. Quite expensive. They're like specific attachments to it, and it's a pain. Shed sticks. What do you mean, stickers?
Shed sticks. Well, I've I've sent George some money for mine anyway. If you want the same, just send George, like we just said, £2 for the 2 badges. So if you want 4 badges, if you want a set, you know. And my brother's being an idiot.
Stickers are a tricky thing to do. You need maybe like a cricket, or you can do them by hand, but they're real tricky to do. Stickers, they're not worth it. It's easy just to put the templates on Redbubble and sell them directly up there, even if you get like 20p per sale. Like,
yeah, I bet
that's
Alf
more. That's
I bet Alf is already on George's channel trying to get himself some badges now. So I know what Alf is like.
He is. He asked for customs. He asked for customs.
But they're all custom, really, because they don't exist at the moment. It's just because George says, like, oh, you want me to make some badges? And they're not going to be, like, professional. They're going to be handmade, but they will look as professional as George can make them. But it's not like you're paying £10.
Yeah, they'll look...
So it's up to you.
I mean, the reason these don't look great is because the printer quality was off when I first did these, but they'll just look like... The only reason these look weird is because they're not centered, and that just takes time to get used to.
Yeah, they're just additional things. I can make personalised stickers. Should we?
You need a cricket.
Send George a sticker and a autograph. And put them in the packs. That's a cool little thing to do. As we say, guys, there's no plans for merch currently, so this is like a little.
Alfie, chat to me in Discord about it. I'll sort it out.
But yeah, does anyone else have any other things you want to discuss with us before we go off? I mean, we've been going.
Anybody got any news?
We've been going for a fair amount of time, just
2.5 hours.
having a little ramble at the end. So yeah, there's a lot of as I said, there's a lot of different places you can watch my content. The content's never going to be the same thing. Like, I'm always changing. You know, 1 minute I could be doing a pack opening, 1 minute I could be looking at Doctor. Like, the way I am as a person, like, I have so many different interests, and 1 week I could be into Doc 2 figures, the next week I could be into DVDs, the next week I could be into Indiana Jones, you know what I mean? Like, I'm always changing. 1 minute I could be into Minecraft, then I could be playing Fortnite. Like, I feel like that's how everyone is, but they don't only reflect that on YouTube. With my channel, I just like to do what I want. So
I mean, we're all artists. We could easily do custom stickers, but we need to have the.
That's another thing I've been thinking about, is doing more drawings and more artworks and stuff. So that might come to the channel eventually. I might look through my old art books and things like that. You know, anything could happen really with me as a creator. So that's the truth. It's like George. You know, he's always doing random crap.
Oh yeah, like none of it ever goes well, but I enjoy doing it. It's the process of making that I enjoy compared to the product that comes out. Like with these, I'll do them to the best I can. They'll be the right size and centered and stuff. But for like, if I ever make something for myself, I don't care what it looks like.
Just pop to the toilet, right, guys?
Oh, we're just ending, mate. Might as well just end first.
No, go for a wee first, George.
God damn it, I've got to babysit his chat.
I'm back.
What's happening, chat? How are you all doing? So I was looking at how to make stickers, and you can do it the way that Abby's saying, or you can. There's a machine called a cricket or cricket. I don't know how you say it, but if you can print it onto sticker paper or vinyl, and then it cuts out like the the image without cutting through the backing. And I feel like that is such a good investment compared to doing it by hand. But they're like 300 quid per.
I just had a thought about the badges, George. You should try and get some like glossy photo paper. I don't know if you use glossy paper, but it'd be useful.
They have they've got gloss on top.
Oh, that's good then. My cat's
Hang on,
decided to join me.
I don't know where it is.
Uncle George, I want food now. Can I have mod on Discord? I'm not giving mods out at the moment. A stick of paper, just bring it. Could do. Ever since Abby's been here, the cat always comes in my room now. It's so annoying. She came in yesterday looking for Abby, and Abby wasn't here, so she went back here.
So this is what you get. Ugh, I can't. No, they're like little drug baggies, and I can't open them with my clumsy thumbs.
The cat's joining
Work
the podcast.
for me here.
You see the cat do it?
Yeah, I just saw the head pop up. So this is
I'm trying to do a podcast.
what goes on top. And creates like a hard plastic shell on the outside. Really fun thing to do, because all you've got to do is cut it into a circle and then you just slam that motherfucker down, you know?
I'd love to, Alfie, but, you know, with all the stuff going on, I don't have time. But I will be doing more drawings just when I get time. Well, I'm just going to be drawing things that I want.
Alfie, you do realise the person who designed the pandas that you're looking at in chat was me, right?
Used to sell them.
So I did all the chat pandas.
Yeah, you could make some, Abby.
Like if you want
Yeah, George
exactly the
designed
same
them.
as Shed
If
would,
I
can
designed
just
them, they would
copy the
actually
backing.
look better.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But like
I don't have
the
that
size
kind
that
of
they
art
are,
style, though.
there's no
I
point
find it
putting
very
a
hard to do
huge
animated
amount of time
style.
into them.
I can do it good on like Illustrator, but I spend hours doing it. I meant George.
Yeah, whereas that took me like 10 minutes to do,
Oh, you meant
and
George.
because it's the
Yeah,
size,
that makes
like
sense. You know, because George.
if you Alfie, if you message me on Discord, I'll get back to you about it, man. Don't worry about it.
Alfie, did you comment on the Premier League pack openings on TikTok? Because I started doing them, as I said earlier. So comment what players you want me to get, and I'll open some packs for you.
Right, we're gonna end the podcast here because
It's
I'm
funny how
hungry.
George ends it this time because he got so annoyed. Because I normally end it, and George is like, "Oh, I gotta call a stop to it now." We'll be back tomorrow, guys. Hopefully with some more Fortnite. Depends what I've got going on, but definitely we should have a stream. You know, possibly tomorrow, if not the next day, depending on how much work I got to do. But we'll try and get it out for you. Because I have kind of missed the Fortnite.
I mean,
today.
it'll be
It is
like
good to take a break though once in a while.
yeah, it won't be. Yeah, the breaks are always important. It really like
Man City
makes
packs. What do you mean,
doing
Man
content
City
like
packs?
easable.
No Man City packs, Alfie. But yeah, guys, we're gonna wrap up, so we'll catch you tomorrow. If you have watched the whole podcast, then you're you're
Leave a
OG
like and
MVP.
comment. Stick a thumbs up in the comment
But yeah,
or
we'll
a panda
catch you tomorrow,
or
'cause me
something.
and George, gotta go to sleep soon because we're old men.
Dude, I woke up at 4 p.m. today.
Yeah, I woke
I
up
am
quite late,
a
so
disaster
I'll
of
be
a
staying
human
awake,
being.
But I have some other stuff to do anyway. But I hope you guys all have a great day or night wherever you're from, and we'll catch you in the next one next week. I don't know what next week's subject's gonna be. Probably gonna be random. I don't know.